Talk to you bright and early, 6:30 tomorrow morning. It's Friday. We'll talk to you then. Up next, here's Greg with the 9 till noon show. Morning, Greg.
Thank you, Rory. Enjoy your Thursday. It is 9 o'clock, time for the news, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. New government initiatives could be on the way to alleviate the spiralling cost of living. Both the Taoiseach and Taoiseach indicated at their parliamentary party meetings last night that further measures are being considered. They're thought to include an increase to the €100 energy credit next month and a reduction in government charges. Junior Minister Niall Collins says further announcements to help people with rising prices are expected in the coming weeks.
Government recognises that the €100 voucher towards the cost of energy isn't going to defray the entire increases that families and individuals have experienced. More needs to be done. We have taken on board a number of measures following the budget through taxation, through social welfare, increases in fuel allowance, but other measures also have to be actively considered over the next number of weeks by government and will be acted on.
The Agriculture and Marine Minister has been told there is blind anger and fury over how fishermen are treated. Speaking in the Dáil last evening on the Sea Fisheries Amendment Bill, Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin relayed his concern that fishermen are being criminalised by current legislation surrounding the penalty points system. Deputy McLaughlin, who is Sinn Féin spokesperson on fisheries and the marine, believes it is second-class citizenship for those in the sector and an attack on the rights to be considered innocent until proven guilty. He told Minister Charlie McConlogue that there needs to be an urgent change in the legislation.
I'm appealing to you tonight, get rid of this offensive language, this lower threshold, because every citizen, I'm going to say it again, has a right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. That is natural justice. Natural justice, but that's not what's in this legislation. And do you know what it tells me, Minister? It tells me that the people who drafted this legislation and who are writing your briefing notes in the Department of the Marine still don't get it.
And finally, parents in Donegal are being encouraged to get their applications for school transport in early. Applications are open for the school year starting this coming September, with the deadline for applications April the 29th. It applies to new applicants only that are seeking primary or post-primary school transport for 2022-23. Councillor Paul Canning says issues arise each year, so it's important to apply in good time.
The rural setting of Donegal, people tend to go where their sisters or brothers have went before, and maybe that is not the closest school to them. That is slowly changing, and people are starting to realise how it works. People need to be aware now that anybody that is going from the primary school to their secondary school, they need to get their application in for that bus, because maybe they were never using a bus before.
Weather now mostly cloudy and becoming windy today. Persistent and heavy rain will move in later this afternoon and evening, with highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
This is an important announcement from the Department of Social Protection. If you have been in receipt of the COVID-19 pandemic unemployment payment and are now returning to work, this message is for you. You must ensure that you stop your payment on your first day back at work. The simplest way to do this is online at www.mywelfare.ie. For more information, visit gov.ie/DSP COVID-19, brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Bluebird Care are hiring nurses and carers across Donegal. Call 9129562. Bluebird Care are sponsors of today's show.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9, Thursday, the 3rd of February 2022. How are you? I hope you're well. Hope you had a good night's sleep, or if you're just coming back in for work, hope that went well for you. It is the 9 till noon show. A busy show as always between now and noon. Please stay with us. Lots to keep you entertained and get involved, of course. Your WhatsApps and text 08660 25000. You can call us. Caroline taking your calls on 07491 25000. If you want to watch the show, we had record viewership yesterday on the programme for this year so far. You can watch on our website, highlandradio.com. Click through the links there and watch in your browser. Or if you want to watch on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or on Facebook, Facebook, Highland Radio News and Sport or Highland Radio. All right, lots of papers out for this Thursday morning as always. So let's crack on having a look at the front pages, starting with the Tyrconnell Tribune. And John McAteer writes that with inflation now digging deeply into the building trade, a leading construction company in Donegal has revealed they'd had to abandon 2 public work contracts in Buncrana and Sligo. Donal Boyle of Boyle Construction, based in Letterkenny, told the Tribunal this week that inflation has now forced them to withdraw from processing a major school project in Buncrana after it emerged that costs had escalated by another $2 million. They'd escalated by $2 million. He said they'd had no alternative but to withdraw from the process, and a similar situation developed with their contract for the new multi-storey car park at Sligo University Hospital. Significant increases there. The Donegal News tells us that a standoff at the Ora is expected on Monday afternoon after Councillor Frank McBurty has indicated his intention to attend the reconvened council meeting, despite a call from Cathaoirleach Jack Murray for him to stay away during a day of chaos and disruption. Councillor McBurty was handed a 1-month suspension at Monday's Donegal County Council meeting, which prohibits him from attending all council meetings. The meeting is set to resume on Monday at 1:30, and Councillor McBurty said he intends to be there and raise a motion on corruption, as is his right to do so as a democratically elected member of local government in the 26 counties. The Donegal Democrat this morning tells us that a 10-year-old boy has been recognised for his bravery in the part he played in the rescue of his father after he fell off a cliff. Owen Cunningham from Kilcar raised the alarm after his father, Seamus, sustained injuries when he fell off a cliff on November 16th last year while working on farm fencing. We're going to be speaking to both Owen and Seamus not too long away now on this programme, so stay tuned if you want to hear that story, how it planned out and what this award means to the young lad. The Derry News this morning: those behind a number of bomb hoaxes in Derry in the past week have been branded cowards. Fallside Shopping Centre was evacuated on Tuesday afternoon after police had been informed a bomb had been left in the centre. Earlier in the day, police also carried out a search at Fountain Primary School. Both were declared hoaxes, and the incidents follow a bomb scare at the offices of SDLP Foyle MLA Sinead McLaughlin on Spencer Road on Thursday last. So to make a phone call, it has to be responded to, but it creates such disruption to business as well, you know, whatever, if it was politically motivated, but to disrupt people trying to make a living, especially given the couple of years they've put in, makes very little sense, doesn't it? The Irish Independent tells us that tourism recovery is at risk because simply they can't get the staff. There are fears a chronic skills shortage will hamper the tourism industry's recovery as 40,000 job vacancies remain unfilled in the sector. 40,000. Fulcher Ireland will publish the figures next week when it unveils its most comprehensive research to date on tourism and hospitality labour market. It's expected to estimate that there are 40,000 vacancies across the industry, with 24% at senior level. There are shortages of chefs, waiting staff and restaurant and bar managers. Many middle and senior level managers in hotels have moved into retail as a result of the pandemic, while coach operators have lost drivers. Big, obviously, demand on a limited pool of drivers. The research shows many businesses have cut services, including curtailing menus, while others have reduced opening hours. But maybe some listening today would see it as an opportunity to go into that industry now. The Irish Times tells us, and you heard it in the news here, that a wide range of expanded cost of living supports will be examined by the government as it seeks to offset the impact of rampant inflation and insulate itself from political damage on the issue. Senior coalition sources acknowledged that the cost of living was the most pressing issue faced by the government and the threat of COVID remained suppressed. Everyone agrees it's the burning issue, one senior source said, with a strong feeling we need to do more. While a €100 support for utility bills has already been announced, there is a desire to go further. Multiple sources confirmed with scoping exercises planned for the coming days. We're casting the net as wide as possible, possibly can, to look at the options, a second senior source said. Considerations will be given to the full range of costs and charges that people face to see what can be done. Would you have any confidence, though, that any decisions made will make a difference? We'll wait and see. Fingers crossed. Let's hope they do. One person is not worried about inflation. Well, I suppose it all depends on your outgoings, but you would need some hefty outgoings to be worried about money. If you were the Secretary General of the Department of Health. This is in the Irish Daily Mail. Mr. Watt, Robert Watt, he's in line for... When was the last time he got a pay rise? I wonder. I would say for many people listening, it's probably never. They'd be afraid to ask for a pay rise for fear of losing their job. Well, he's had 4 pay rises. He's getting a 4th, sorry. He's had 3 pay rises in 10 months and another on the way. Mr. Watt's salary of close to €300,000 has increased 3 times by more than €86,000 since he moved from the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform last year. While at Public Expenditure and Reform, Mr. Watt earned a salary of €211,000, the upper ceiling for Secretary-Generals. He then received an €81,000 salary increase when he took up the new role in the Department of Health in April of last year. And what has he done? What has he achieved? This is nothing personal against Mr. Watt, but sorry to labour this point, right? But most of us in work, there are things that we have to achieve to justify our wages. What has he done in the Department of Health to justify an €81,000 salary? It's horrific, really. He's in line for another pay rise in October as part of the building. Let's see, what's he getting it for? Building Momentum Civil Service Pay Agreement. The 4th salary increase in October, if accepted by Mr. Watt, would push his salary to €300,847. Meanwhile, by the way, swallow those cornflakes, the Chief Executive, Paul Reid, his salary, his package. Now, this would be a person, by the way, Paul Reid, okay. And again, no harm to Paul Reid. But, there's between 60 and 80,000 people listening between this show or over the course of the day to Highland Radio, okay? And many of you contribute to his €412,000 a year salary. Okay, €412,000 salary a year. But do you know what? See, if there's an issue like the Brandon report or the situation at Letterkenny University Hospital or whatever, Paul Reid, he's only down in Leitrim. He would not come on this programme to speak to you or to answer your questions. He would not come on this programme to do an interview. Simply wouldn't. He's on €412,000 a year. You pay his wages. It doesn't matter whether you're working or not. Every penny you spend is taxed. You pay his wages, and he wouldn't come on a programme like this to answer questions, not about his salary, but about controversy like the Brandon report. Now, he will take a handy interview on Morning Ireland or something whereby you would swear. It's a very easy interview, let me just say it like that. But you're paying his wages, and there's no way we'd have access to him. What's he doing for the €412 if he won't speak to the people? On different platforms. Anyway, that's just the way it is. Maybe he shouldn't have to. There are people listening that say, well, why should he? Okay, that's grand. The Irish Farmers Journal, there is mounting anger among dairy farmers that the industry is being corralled by the government into cutting cow numbers or accepting an effective return to milk quotas. A new Food Vision dairy group has been tasked by Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConalogue with producing an action plan for stabilising and reducing carbon emissions from the industry. However, farm organisations have warned ahead of a crunch meeting of the group next Monday that they will not have any hand, act or part in measures which could impact on dairy farm incomes. Right, on to the Star this morning, and this is an interesting one. It's ongoing at the moment out in Belfast. Foreign Affairs Minister Simon Coveney has said the decision to halt NI protocol checks would be a breach of international law, but as far as we're aware, they're going ahead. He made his comment after Stormont Agriculture Minister Edwin Poots ordered a halt to agri-food checks at ports in the north. The DUP minister, whose officials are responsible for carrying out protocol checks, said last night that he had ordered his permanent secretary to stop them at midnight. But as I say, it seems like they're ongoing at the moment. We're keeping an eye on that, and we will have an update for you later on in the programme. I'm not sure this has affected anyone in this part of the world yet, but you can only imagine it's a matter of time. In the Sun today, Gardaí suspect one organised crime gang is behind a spate of thefts of telephone cables across the country. A major operation involving investigators from the Gardaí's Cavan and Monaghan division is now underway to catch the mob. In the most recent incident, telephone cables were stolen in Belturbet in County Cavan on January 22, and over the last 6 months there have been 66 instances of cable thefts, with the gang striking in Cavan, Monaghan, Louth and Meath. Now, they're looking for the copper in the cables. The copper is incredibly valuable. So they're stripping that out. So if they're trying it there, it's only a matter before they try it elsewhere. But what's happening is people are being left without broadband and internet for days on end. And very finally, and very sadly, in the Irish Daily Mirror, nearly 300 unwanted Christmas dogs were given up before the end of last month, some because their owners claimed they were dogfished. It's a disgusting turn of phrase, but what effectively it means is they thought they were getting a beautiful, what they would perceive as a beautiful dog, and when they got it, it didn't look quite as beautiful as they wanted, so they gave it up. Isn't that sad? The puppies were given to charity workers at Dogs Trust Ireland at a rate of 8 a day. Foster homes are now urgently needed for the 297 animals as a result of a 33% spike in post-Christmas deliveries. There were 172 unwanted pooches given to the Trust last year between Christmas Day 2020 and the end of January last year. It's really sad. Massive increase in dogs being given back, but this whole notion that they're given back because they don't look a certain way, if that's what you're basing your dog ownership on, perhaps maybe you shouldn't be allowed to own a dog at all. Back shortly.
The 9 till noon show with Bluebird Care, providing home care services for all ages in Donegal. Visit bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgee's.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgee's.ie.
Discover the Dunnes Stores app and put better value at your fingertips. Tap to browse all our latest grocery offers. See all your 10 off 50 grocery vouchers stored in one place and scan your Value Club card to earn points. All within the app, saving you time and money. Plus, download the app today and you'll receive a one-time 10 off 30 welcome voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €30 or more.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years, and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
I joined Bluebird Care as a healthcare assistant. It's so rewarding that at 70, I'm still here.
I love my job and it fits around my lifestyle.
The training and support I received is superb.
It doesn't feel like I'm working. Visit bluebirdcarecareers.ie to find out how you can join our expanding team of healthcare assistants.
My only regret is that I didn't join sooner.
This is not just a career in care. This is a career with Bluebird Care.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at
9:18. Now we welcome on to the programme Seamus and Owen Cunningham. A very good morning to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you.
Good morning.
And how are you, Owen?
Hello.
I think you're better at raising the alarm maybe than saying hello to me, but sure, listen, we'll get to that in a moment. Owen, just relax and Dad'll look after you. Right. Tell us about what happened back in November 2021.
Well, I suppose for me it was a morning like any other morning. I just done some farming. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law was buried on the Monday, and we were off that week, so I didn't get time to check the cattle and the sheep. So got up that morning, and Owen decided to come with me, as he always does, and we went down to check the sheep. But there's a little bit of fencing was broken. We kept saying we had to fix it, so we decided to fix it. 5-minute job, and unfortunately it was a lot longer than that. I just was fixing the wire. I stepped back onto a rock, and the rock just gave way under me, and unfortunately I fell I'm told about 15 foot onto a ledge. and that was the start of it basically. The pain was just phenomenal, but lucky for me that day Owen was there, and I was conscious at the time. I was fit to tell him to try and raise the alarm, so he didn't really hesitate. I told him he needed to go up to the house to get my wife Martina and his mother and his brother Darren. So he did that without hesitation. He left, went to the house. Didn't seem that long. He didn't seem to be gone that long. He came back and he said to me, "Daddy, I'm back again." And I said, I remember saying, Owen, did you go to the house? Because I thought he wasn't away that long. And he said, "Yeah." I raised the alarm. I told Mommy, and she's ringing the emergency services, and they're on their way down. And I said, "But how come you're down quicker? Are you sure you went to got them?" And he said, "Well, I took the bicycle from the garage and I cycled down faster. I knew he'd be there quicker." So he was there and kept me going until the rest of them arrived, and the emergency services then was alerted.
Yeah, Owen, was it scary at the time?
Yeah.
And you had no phone, so you knew you had to get running just as soon as you can. Then what made you decide to get the bike? Are you always a quick thinker?
Well, I knew it would be faster on the bike, so I got my bike out of the yard and cycled down.
And presumably you wanted to get back to make sure your dad was okay as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And were you able to stay calm? It looks like you were. You were a calm young lad on the day.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when the emergency services arrived, Seamus, how did they manage to get you back up on to a space that they could work on you?
Yeah, well, they weren't really able to get me onto a space. Lucky for me, I landed on a ledge that was there. So Declan, that's there as well, Declan Morton and his team arrived, and the local Coast Guard, and I knew in my own head that I was in a bad. I knew it was in a bad way, but I also knew that I was in a bad area. I knew they well, and I knew it was steep terrain to get up out of, and I knew it was going to be a very difficult task to try and get out of there. So the local Coast Guard and Declan and the emergency services was there, and among themselves they decided the helicopter rescue 118 was needed. So I left it in their hands after that.
Yeah, and we'll hear about the rescue. But in terms of the ledge that you landed on, was there another fall beyond that ledge?
Yes. Yeah, lucky for me, I fell on to that ledge, because if the ledge was only about 2 or 3 foot wide. It was long enough, but it wasn't that wide. But if I had rolled another, I rolled in towards the bank, as we say. If I had rolled the other way, I would have dropped down into the rocks and the sea below, which would probably been another 10 foot or so of a drop. So I would say that the outcome of that would not have been good.
Yeah, all right. You mentioned Declan Moran. He's advanced paramedic for Killybegs, with the National Ambulance Service. Good morning to you, Declan.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. So describe this rescue from your perspective, how you go about making sure that Seamus is recovered and safely. Because, of course, it's access, it's getting him treatment, but you don't want to do anything, particularly with the fall, that could maybe make any injuries worse. So it's complicated.
It was complicated because of the location, Greg, more than anything. We'd often have people with injuries similar to Seamus that may have a fall maybe on a building site or somewhere that's a lot more easily accessible, but where Seamus fell, he fell in a very inaccessible area. I suppose the closest we could get to Seamus was about 150 metres away in the ambulance, carrying a lot of equipment over rough terrain, stone ditches, and then getting down to Seamus where he was. I'd say more like 20 feet maybe below where we were. So we got ourselves lowered down with the assistance of the Killybegs Coast Guard, which were great to have there. We got lowered down, got our equipment down beside him. I think Seamus might be underestimating the drop below the ledge. It was another at least 20 to 30 feet below where he landed. Thank God he landed on the ledge that he did, because if he'd missed that ledge, it was a long drop down to the shore, and with the tide coming in. But from our point of view, naturally, we wouldn't move anybody, and Seamus, as said already, he broke his hip. Naturally, with a big injury like that, he could have injured his spine as well, and he mightn't have realised because there was so much pain coming from his hip. So we were very careful about the way we were going to extricate him. So taking him up the embankment from that ledge would have been a lot more risky for Seamus the actual safest way was to lift them with the helicopter, because it's a direct lift onto their stretcher and a direct lift up, and we had him fully immobilized and treated for the pain before we moved him at all, you know.
And tell us about Owen and his role in this, because it was, you guys see an awful lot, but you saw enough on that day to say, right, you know, what Owen did deserved recognition.
Absolutely. Greg, we see so many different situations, people with great experience and of a lot older age than what Owen is. So, and we see people stage fright, panic, get scared, a serious traumatic incident, and they just can't think clearly. And that's a natural human reaction. We're trained for these things, so it comes a bit different to us. Plus, you don't have the emotional aspect of it being a family member. So Owen, being 10 years of age, to have that quick acting, quick thinking, knew to get the alarm raised right away. Owen had a big distance, I would guess approximately 800 metres back to the house. I'd say Usain Bolt would have had bother beating him back to the house that day by going by Seamus, the ground he covered. So he got up to the house, raised the alarm very quickly, and then the quick thinking to jump on his bike and get back down to Seamus. And at the time, we didn't realise at the time, and his auntie Julie told me afterwards, that Owen knelt above us and prayed for Seamus the whole time we were there, which is a nice thing. Like,
yeah, it's a special.
And it was a very, very scary experience for him, and even for such a scary, traumatic experience for him, he didn't delay at any time. He knew what had to be done, and he got it done very quickly, and he was absolutely fantastic on the day.
Owen, what does it feel like to get this award for your role in helping your dad and helping emergency services too, and getting them to the scene quickly? Are all your mates jealous, or what's the story?
Well, I'm happy I got the award, but then I'm happy from saving Daddy.
Yeah, because at the same time, you know, there was a lot of activity there. Do you remember the helicopter coming in and all that kind of stuff? Like, how did that feel? Because obviously you're worried about your dad, but to see, you know, this big helicopter up close and personal too.
Well, I felt a wee bit scary, but
Good. Well, that's understandable. That's understandable. And Seamus, how are you keeping now? Because you did suffer quite an injury. It's not that long ago.
Yeah, doing okay now. Still on crutches. As we said, that I was taken to Sligo Hospital. I spent a month in the hospital, 2.5 weeks in Sligo, and then I was transferred to Tala Hospital for the operation. It was a joint called acetabular joint, so it's a specialised operation. So I think there's only 2 surgeons that I'm aware of that does it in Ireland. That's why I had to go to Tala for that operation. So got the operation and then was transferred back to Sligo. So was kept in Sligo for another week, and then I just got home there before Christmas. So it was a tough month. Now I had a lot of pain, a lot of soreness, but you know, you have to battle on, and every week, especially now every month, you feel you're coming on a lot. So good. A lot of physio to do now and in the coming weeks and months. So but I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there, and I feel a lot stronger and a lot better in myself now.
All right, brilliant stuff. And Owen, does this make you maybe want to get involved? I mean, you're already in the rescue services effectively. Would this make you want to do something like this when you get a bit older, or if you've seen enough of it now with everything that happened to Dad?
Yeah, I'd love to be a rescue person.
Excellent stuff. There's a new volunteer for you, Declan, when the time's right.
Absolutely. He has all the characteristics that are required for the emergency services. Yesterday we had him convinced to join the ambulance service when we were at the school, but he was hijacked on us when we got down to the football field and he got in behind the cockpit of the helicopter. We lost him to the Coast Guard, I think.
Is that a fact, Owen, or your mind's not made up yet?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Listen, thank you very much, Seamus and Owen. Seamus, it's good to hear you're well on the road to recovery, and fair play to you, Owen. It's a superb achievement, and you look back on it throughout your life with your dad safe now, but with what you did. It's a brilliant thing. Thanks, Owen.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just what I want to like to thank again. I did it yesterday, but just all the emergency service, Declan and his team, and our local Coast Guard. And their team, Michael Love, he's from the area, he heads it up, and of course Rescue 118, just for all the support and help, great services, and everybody was brilliant on the day. And even yesterday for Owen's presentation, everybody was was excellent, and it was a great day out for us as a family. We enjoyed it, and a great honour for Owen as well, something for him to have in the future.
Yeah, it is brilliant. And speaking to a few people, Seamus, in similar situations than this, they can be a wee bit embarrassed with all the fuss that they caused. Did you have a bit of that yourself?
Well, I suppose, and it's only the last couple of days, was with the award and that. There's a lot of people, at the time when it happened, you're in so much pain that
of course, yeah.
Used to what's going on. But as time went on, there's so many people who are so good, even, all my neighbours, friends, everyone texting and ringing, and you're everybody's checking in and you see how you're doing and all that, and you're it was yesterday really the whole thing sank in when the helicopter and everything was there, and I think that it caused a lot of, with all the media attention, it caused a lot of hassle at the time, but it was all worth it anyway yesterday for all.
Any nicknames? No, often you can.
No, I don't think so. Not that I've heard of. There could be, but I haven't heard of them yet anyway. But probably will in the future.
Declan, you play a bit of golf, don't you?
Play a bit of golf, surely.
I heard your driving is a little bit like the Rescue 118. It can cover great distances but land anywhere.
I could land anywhere on hills or anything.
Listen, well done, Declan. Keep up the great work. Thanks so much for joining us.
No bother. Thanks very much.
All right, take care of yourself. Thank you. Okay, and also, thank you very much, Owen and Seamus as well. It's a lovely story, and a reward very much justified there for Owen and Seamus. A lovely family as well, and Declan and the crew doing fantastic work. All right, we'll be back with more shortly.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Bluebird Care, providing nurse-led home care services in Donegal. Call Bluebird Care 91295562 and bring care home.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off everything in store. All kitchen and bathroom tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware, all cladding, everything's reduced. It's our biggest ever sale. The Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price January sale. Stores nationwide. Sale extended until Sunday.
If your child is aged 5 to 11, you can now register for their free COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 usually causes mild to moderate illness in this age group, but it can cause more severe illness. All vaccines used in Ireland are tested before they're approved by the European Medicines Agency. To find out more or to register, go to hsc.ie or call HSE Live on 1800 700 700 from the HSE.
You know it's time. You've been thinking about it, talking about it, and dreaming about it. It's time for a new car. Come visit iMotors in Malin and Letterkenny for a fantastic range of new and pre-loved vehicles. iMotors, your home for Kia and Nissan in Donegal.
There's more furniture than ever on display at McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. With extra floor space, there's more suites, beds, dining room and occasional furniture. Also more rugs, mirrors and lamps, all available for immediate delivery. If you'd like to make a beautiful addition to your home, there's more furniture than ever to choose from at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny, and at mcginleysfurniture.com.
Great news from Hyundai. The Hyundai Tucson is once again the best-selling car in Donegal and in Ireland for January. Thank you for your continued support. Divers have yet another consignment of Tucsons arriving at the end of the month. So call today and take a test drive at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Telephone 074 9122 600.
I practice mixology. It's like biology, only with more gin.
Andy, bartender.
I am a caffeine delivery technician.
Sharon, barista.
I use my experience to make yours better.
Stanley, tourism experience manager. They've all been explaining their jobs in their own words on behalf of Northern Ireland's tourism and hospitality industries. Discover hundreds of amazing opportunities in tourism and hospitality right now when you search careerscope.uk.net/NI. Explain them any way you want.
Now, we were talking earlier on, it's covered in the newspapers today, and it'll be the subject of a report, but which has been a little bit leaked, and that's the difficulty in hiring staff into the tourism/hospitality sector. Linda from Fusion Bistro and Food Truck joins us on the programme now. Linda, thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Now, there was always, I think, well, pre-pandemic, there definitely was a shortage of chefs, wasn't there? And that situation hasn't just stayed the same. It seemingly has gotten worse.
Yeah, definitely. I think even before COVID, it was becoming increasingly difficult to find chefs. A lot of people were leaving the industry or thinking about leaving the industry, but now they just can't be got. It's just, at the minute, every single business that I know of are looking for staff. And chefs are definitely the biggest problem at the minute. You know, from our own perspective, we have a kitchen, a commie chef that helps us out 2 days a week. That's all she can work. And other than that, Gary is in the kitchen on his own.
And we were speaking actually to Micheál Nocted earlier in the week. He supposed that, you know, particularly maybe with kitchen work, that people have, you know, been out of the pressure of the kitchen for a while, maybe retrained, move into different industries. It's a tough way to earn a living, like, and people are just making lifestyle choices.
Yeah, I think definitely, you know, COVID has taught us all a bit of a lesson to slow down and, you know, rethink how busy we let life get, I think, you know, and hospitality is a hard industry to work in, without a doubt. And, you know, I've said it before, until we get more staff, it's very hard to make it a better work-life balance. You need numbers in staff to allow people to, you know, alternate weekends, alternate nights, and at the minute it's just not possible. Like, we're a daytime place and we can't get staff.
And do people contact you? I'm not going to ask any personal stuff, Linda, but are you getting people that would say, yes, I'd be interested, but I'd need such and such, which wouldn't be realistic for you to match, or you just get no bites at all?
No, we've had a couple, but for their own different reasons have decided to stay where they are, or, you know, at the minute it's not even coming down to how much it's going to cost you.
Yeah, of course, you're not getting that far. But just in case anyone's listening, you're offering a job for a chef, no night work, no Sundays, excellent pay. It's not when I was in a kitchen, going back some time now, it can be a hectic place to work. Yours is calm and respectful. And
I think that's a big thing. You know, the day of roaring and shouting and, you know, giving out has gone, or at least should be gone. You know, you want to have a happy workplace. We all want to be happy in our work, and myself included. And, you know, it's trying to get people to maybe come in and, you know, even if they've left the industry, that maybe find a love for it again and give them a bit of freedom and creativity, and that it might entice people back, you know. Like,
I wonder, are there many people in the likes of, you know, Killybegs and wherever else? I think a lot of people are doing these courses, but aren't doing it with a view to becoming chefs in restaurants. I think they're doing it to upskill or to scratch an itch that's been there. Or maybe even to do a bit of work in their own business. I mean, are we, I wonder, producing new qualified chefs out of the likes of the college in Killybegs and elsewhere?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of the TikTok trends and all this kind of stuff have really kicked off, and a lot of young chefs are, you know, making excellent careers for themselves out of it, and they don't have to necessarily work in the kitchen, you know. And good for them. It's all I'm not a TikTok person. I don't even have it. But it's, you know, it's changing, and it's going to be very hard. You know, there's 40,000 jobs in hospitality in the country at the minute not being filled. 40% of businesses have had to reduce or will have to reduce their opening times if they can't get staff.
Yeah. I remember seeing a couple of advertisements on business pages saying we aren't doing lunches this week because we don't have the staff. And, you know, until I did a bit of research on it, of course, and fully understood it, I looked at it sort of as if to say, come on, seriously? But it is the truth, and it's a reality that's dawning, and we're heading in to hopefully a bumper tourism season with lots of people doing the staycation after they learned to love that during the restrictions, and also, you know, tourists coming into the country. The Northern Ireland market seems strong for this year as well.
Yeah. Won't
it be frustrating if we've all of these customers and not the staff to service it?
Yeah, that's, you know, it's even some simple thing like somebody being sick or having one of their children sick and can't come to work. A business has to shut because there's that little staff available.
Well, we got this text in and I was expecting it along these lines, as you probably were as well. It says, it's no wonder chefs are turning away from the business. My son worked as a chef pre-pandemic. He was doing 60 hours, very little overtime pay, and the company took all tips for breakages. No one to blame for this crisis but themselves. Now, that doesn't apply to your business, but can you see that point?
Oh, definitely. You know, hospitality has been notorious for years for not looking after staff. You know, and there's definitely areas like even this new legislation towards tips and how they're allocated and should be given to staff is completely, you know, is completely right, and it should have happened years ago.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when you're a young person that's maybe only starting out at 19 or 20, and if you're not being treated properly, of course they're not going to stay.
But maybe the balance is tipping now from the employer to the employee, and that's been a long time coming. It'll take a while to work its way through, but maybe that's the way. That being said, you know what happens though, and this is where the public who aren't involved start feeling it. The price of a pint goes up, the price of a dessert goes up, the price of a starter goes up, the price of socialising goes up. That's part of it. This is what inflation is all about.
Yeah, like even since the 1st of January, like across our dry goods that we would buy on a regular basis, the cost increase across the board is an average of 12%. You know, your electricity is going up, your gas is going up. So, you know, obviously businesses are going to have to take this hit and incorporate it into their menus. The price of living for everybody is going through the roof. So will people, you know, going out is going to become really a treat, not, you know... It's all a huge worry at the minute for everybody, I think.
Yeah, but the country, a lot of people are working too. So I know where you're coming from. I'd be hopeful that maybe, you know, we will see a good couple of years, but I'm not directly involved in it, and you know better than I do. Linda, if anyone's interested in this, is it based in Kilcar or Killybegs or?
No, it's based in Killybegs, and it's a Sunday off every week, guaranteed, and then another day off. Month, and it's like I say, you won't be working later than 6 o'clock in the evening.
Right.
Excellent pay. Tips are done properly. Holiday pay, bank holidays, everything is done above board and correctly. And we'd love to hear from somebody who might be interested.
I'm tempted.
Careful what you wish for.
I'll tell you. At Fusion Kilcar on Twitter, if you want to send a DM to Linda and crew. Listen, thanks very much. I hope you get sorted, and I hope you have a wedged year. I really do.
So thank you very much.
All right, take care. Thanks very much. No,
Take
it's
care.
nice to speak to you. Take care, Linda. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number. Comments on the way, and more guests.
Bluebird Care are hiring nurses and carers across Donegal. Call 9129562. Bluebird Care are sponsors of today's show.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure has everything you need for getting fit in 2022. From training gear to resistance bands, skipping ropes, weights and foam rollers, we have all the essentials to see you through every step of your fitness journey from training to recovery. Shop our range of gym wear, equipment and accessories at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Nutrius Milk Replacer range, which includes NutriStart and NutriStart Plus, offers the best start to your calves this spring season. With 23% and 25% crude proteins, ideal for calf to beef and heifer rearing systems. Give your calves the best possible start. Available at your local Homeland store. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Every day you trust your gut, and that gut feeling can lead to a kick in the guts, but your gut instinct was right, so you bust a gut because someone will have your guts if you don't. You know what your gut deserves? Glenillan Farm Yoghurt. Bursting with live cultures, it's the daily way to keep your gut happy and healthy. And tastes delicious to boot. Choose Irish, choose local, choose Glenillan Farm.
With the onset of different variants of coronavirus, it is vital that your business, office or school has the most up-to-date air purification device. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles introduce the Daikin Air Purifier. It eliminates 99.9% of coronaviruses in under 3 minutes. Ideal for residential settings, offices, classrooms and waiting rooms. Priced at €495, it's a great investment. For more details, contact McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles Buncrana. We're only a phone call or email away.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, so let's have a look at that weather forecast, and I can tell you that a few bright spells this morning and early afternoon, but mostly cloudy and dry apart from a few spots of light rain and drizzle, though it'll get more wet as the day wears on. We'll tell you more about that as the morning wears on. Right now, checks on goods along the Irish Sea border are expected to stop on Thursday. That's today, of course, after Democratic Unionist Party Minister Edwin Poots called for inspections of products from Great Britain into Northern Ireland to be stopped. Now, it's not fully clear at this time if that's happening, but we can talk about that. It's a turbulent some turbulence in politics in Northern Ireland, because we also learnt this morning that Northern Ireland's First Minister Paul Givan intends to announce his resignation later today. There has been no official statement from Mr Givan's DUP party, but sources told the BBC that announcement is expected, and the way power sharing is set up in Northern Ireland, that move would mean that Deputy First Minister Michelle O'Neill also loses her position. The roles of First and Deputy First Minister are a joint office, so we'll talk about that, of course, as that develops. Senator Niall Blaney is spokesperson on Northern Ireland and member of the Good Friday Agreement Committee with his party Fianna Fáil. Right, okay, can you understand what Edwin Poots is trying to achieve in calling for these inspections to stop, Niall?
No, I couldn't say I understand what he's trying to achieve, Greg, other than maybe analyse what has maybe been called for by the DUP. Up to now, there were efforts made by the party to have Article 16 brought into being. That hasn't happened. There has been threats of taking down the power sharing agreement. And I suppose this could be deemed as another escalation of efforts by the DUP in relation to the protocol. There's I suppose a few things that needs to be taken into context. First of all, trade in Northern Ireland has never been greater. The Belfast port has never been busier. So from the point of view of the interests of the people of Northern Ireland, trade has never been in a better place than it currently is. So the protocol is working, not just to everybody's liking. But as far as I'm concerned, that is the most important thing, that the protocol is working.
But it puts Poots staff into a bit of a bind, doesn't it? Because, you know, he says he's got legal advice, but there is other legal advice out there that says that ending these checks would breach international law. It puts his staff in an awkward position, I presume, just because they're directed to do something, and I think they've ignored a similar direction in the past. It wouldn't indemnify them from, you know, effectively being seen to be breaking the law, or perhaps it would. So, I mean, this could backfire quite severely on Mr Poots, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, I'm aware of some MLAs who put in questions in Stormont to the extent that it has happened. What are the consequences? And the reply from his own office actually kept out the consequences. And the consequences, as you've just said, there's an obligation on the British government to ensure that the checks and balances take place. But Stormont may well end up coughing up in relation to this if there are any cases taken by those trading in Northern Ireland in relation to protecting the checks and balances that are necessary in relation to the obligations and agreements they have entered into with the EU. But as you did say earlier, it's not just clear yet if checks and balances are still taking place or not.
Yeah, but also, obviously there's the European context, there's the Irish-British context, but there's also the political situation in Northern Ireland, which is, could go either way at any stage, and this undermines the power sharing agreement as well. This is not a decision really can be taken unilaterally, is it? This is a decision that should be taken, amongst all parties in the power sharing executive. I'm not sure if that's linked with the news that the First Minister Paul Givan intends to resign.
That's speculation at the moment.
Well, I'd say it's pretty good speculation if the truth be told.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, the DUP have been threatening to take down the power sharing agreement. We've had 3 years in the not too distant past whereby that was the case, and it really messed up the workings of the 6 counties. A completely undesirable situation, and it's the last thing you'd wish for, and you'd hope it's not going to happen. But unfortunately, it's been mooted, and it may happen. But the one thing that we have to have in context here is that whoever is in government has a responsibility to look after the lives and the workings of Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said to you, it's never been working better from a trade perspective. So the motives has to be called into question. There is an election around the corner.
In May, yeah.
In May. And I would say that I don't see how the people of Northern Ireland, no matter what persuasion you are, can see this as a positive move.
Okay, well, we'll see how the date develops. Senator Niall Blaney, spokesperson for Fianna Fáil on Northern Ireland, a member of the Good Friday Agreement Committee. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, yesterday we were speaking to Anthony. He was the parent of a child at Sculmurra. Now, a group of special needs students were moved out of the school because of COVID, we're told, and into a lake house, it's called locally. They say it's not fit for purpose, that the floor is in part seems unstable, that there's damp inside. We were contacted by other parents who said that they share the concerns, okay, and others with students starting in September wondering, will they be in the main building or out in this house? Now, we were told by the school that the reason this decision was made was because of COVID, and that the decision will be reviewed once guidelines are reviewed. But we were also told by others that 2 rooms that were used for these students have been turned into a library and an RE room. We haven't been able to get a statement from the school further to that to try and find out what's going on here, because we want to make sure, and I'm not making any accusations, but we want to make sure that you know, what were the reasons for this decision being made? Has the space for these students, because apparently it was about space, been redesigned to be used for something else? And if so, why? And also, really, you know, what would it take as it relates to a change of guidelines to get these students back into schools? Because we heard from parents as well whose children, the interaction, the integration is actually more important than the academic element. So we are still chasing that up, still looking for answers. We got this contact from a parent that says, I only heard the playback of the parent talking about his son in school. By the way, Caroline, did we get anything back from the school in relation to our further inquiries? We still have nothing back. Okay, obviously they're very, very busy, but it was only a couple of relatively simple questions. So It'd be nice to get some answers. Okay, I'm also a parent whose son attends the school and has special needs, and his first year he got on great in the unit on the school grounds. However, I wanted to say also that the school had never once contacted me to inform me of his transition to the house. I agree with the other parent, the house isn't suitable for the students and the staff also, to be honest. For example, even though it's a short distance walk from the school, it still requires staff making numerous walks over and back to the house with the students, and with our weather most days they be soaked or cold. They can't all drive over and back with students due to insurance policies, and the parking outside the house isn't great because it's on a busy road. I'm furious to learn that the unit on the school grounds is being used for a library. That's not considering some students are wheelchair users here. They're missing out on the large space they had in the unit, plus for students and staff also missing out on the buzz in the school and the social interactions with students and other staff. So this is another listener stating that this space that has been converted into a library. Now, I pretty much read all the HSE COVID guidelines. Never heard a tell of anything like that. But anyway, they go, fair enough. They're waiting on a fantastic new facility, but when is that due to come? The staff with our children in the house are absolutely fantastic, and they're at their job and go beyond their job to make them all happy every day. They are a godsend and a huge asset to the school. My worry is if other students are due to start in the new term, where will they fit? And how will this affect the students and staff already there? Thanks, from another special needs child parent. Okay, another one there. As I say, we're not looking, this is not Prime Time Investigates here, by the way. We're just looking for answers for parents to a couple of very simple questions. That text is exactly right. Not only, this is working as a chef, not only long hours and poor wages, no respect, and in a lot of kitchens, bullying by staff that have had too much power for too long. As I say, I've worked in that environment. I wouldn't have called it bullying because it's some time ago, and maybe we've got new words for what went on, but it was where I was, a couple of kitchens I worked, there were tough places to work. Greg, can you ask your listeners if they know what the two things are that were flying low in the sky at 9:20 this morning up near Primerica? It was a bizarre sight. At first I thought it was two drones, but they didn't move like drones. They moved slow and had lights all round. Bizarre, strange times and strange things. It's very much, it could be drones. A lot of these drones, if they're being used by professionals, they do have these ring lights. They can move slow. You can program what they do. Maybe a promotional video is being shot. But anyway, maybe it's aliens. I don't know what it might be. But anyway, did you see this bizarre... A lot of people sitting in traffic there. Did you see this bizarre sight in the sky at around 9:20 this morning up near Primerica in Letterkenny? It was two things. They had lights around them, and the caller says, bizarre, strange times and strange things. So if you saw them and you have any insight into what they are, please get in touch and let us know. Reluctance of those on basic PUP payments to return to work in the service sector highlights how overworked and underpaid they are. Yeah, there's a point to that as well. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show. Stay with us. Hour 2 and 3 as busy as hour 1. Lots more to keep you entertained and informed. We'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Bluebird Care, providing home care services for all ages in Donegal. Visit bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
Need a new part for your Ford car or van? Why not call to OMS Auto Parts in Buncrana? With a massive stock of Ford parts, you're sure to get the part you need. Free next day delivery on orders over €50. Call 074 9361924 or shop online at omsautoparts.ie.
At Electric Ireland, electric vehicle drivers can enjoy up to 7,500 kilometres of free at-home electric vehicle charging with 100% green electricity. That's up to 7,500 kilometres of possibilities. From seeing friends and family to taking road trips and making memories. Visit electricireland.ie/greenev to switch today. Electric Ireland. We're brighter together. Estimated annual bill €1,225. New customers on 1-year residential green electricity plan. Discounted unit rate, standing charge and PSO levy. See electricireland.ie/greenev for terms and conditions.
Farmers banned from burning bushes. For more in this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
The burning of agricultural waste, such as bushes and hedge cuttings, is now banned on farms. Growing concerns that a new department group could cap cow numbers. We reveal how Irish fertiliser prices are amongst the highest in the world and share tips for reducing costs. And farmers warn not to sell carbon credits outside of the sector.
Plus, we share tips for dealing with calving difficulties. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. The BBC is reporting this morning that Northern Ireland's First Minister Paul Givan intends to submit his resignation today as part of the DUP's protest against the Northern Ireland Protocol. That would see Deputy First Minister Michelle O'Neill also lose her position. Meanwhile, the British government says it's not intervening over the suspension of some post-Brexit checks at ports in Northern Ireland. Agriculture Minister Edwin Poots ordered officials to halt the process last night, although it's not clear if those orders are being followed. Lorries are still being received at a checking facility in Belfast Port this morning, according to local reports. Aidan Connolly, director of the Northern Ireland Retail Consortium, says his organisation is advising members to continue filling out their paperwork.
These checks are just one part of the GB to NI process that was agreed between the UK government and the EU, as well as customs. There's still a responsibility on traders moving goods to complete paperwork under the Stamley Agri-Food Scheme if they wish to continue being part of that scheme.
The tourism sector is undergoing a complete rebuild, which could take a number of years. That's according to Tourism Ireland, as the industry tries to fill 40,000 vacant positions. Around 30% of staff have left the sector since the beginning of the pandemic, and Tourism Ireland's Managing Director Niall Gibbons says it could be some time before it recovers fully.
There's a complete rebuild of the industry that's going to happen over the next sort of number of years, really. Our colleagues in Fáilte Ireland have got responsibility and have got a big programme in place to help rebuild the sector here at home. For Tourism Ireland, really, it's about the marketing of Ireland abroad, where we have a very good reputation. We've done a lot of research and we are very on top of what consumers are looking for in their holidays in 2022.
Parents in Donegal are being encouraged to get their applications for school transport in early. Applications are open for the school year starting this coming September, with the deadline April 29th. It applies to new applicants only seeking primary or post-primary school transport for the 2022-23 academic year. Councillor Paul Canning says there can be issues each year, so it's important that people apply in good time.
The rural setting of Donegal, people tend to go where their sisters or brothers have went before, and maybe that is not the closest school to them. That is slowly changing and people are starting to realise how it works. People need to be aware now that anybody that is going from the primary school to their secondary school, they need to get their application in for that bus because maybe they were never using a bus before.
Significant progress has been made on a €12 million project to upgrade the water treatment plant in Letchermega Ward. Irish Water has confirmed the construction contract for the work has been signed. With more, here's Catherine Gaffney.
The €12 million upgrade project aims to support economic, social development and tourism in the Letchermega Ward area while reducing the risk of supply interruptions and ensuring compliance with EU drinking water regulations, as well as providing a safer, more reliable water supply for homes and businesses. Work on the project is expected to begin in the coming months and will take around 2 years to complete. John McAway, Asset Delivery Regional Lead with Irish Water, says the project will involve an upgrade to the existing water treatment plant at the Letchermega Ward site, as well as increasing water storage on site. The construction of a new water main from Derrickmore Lock to the water treatment plant is also said to be another important element of the project. Improvements to the network are also being undertaken with the construction of 2 booster pumping stations, which will serve the Portnew, Rossbeg, Drimla Dridge and Derry, Druil and Mahary areas.
The Agriculture and Marine Minister has been told there is blind anger and fury over how fishermen are treated. In the Dáil last evening, speaking on the Sea Fisheries Amendment Bill, Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin repeated his belief that fishermen are being criminalised by current legislation surrounding a penalty points system. He told Minister Charlie McConalogue in the Dáil there needs to be urgent changes.
I'm appealing to you tonight, get rid of this offensive language, this lower threshold, because every citizen, I'm going to say it again, has the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. That is natural justice. Natural justice. But that's not what's in this legislation. And do you know what it tells me, Minister? It tells me that the people who drafted this legislation and who are writing your briefing notes in the Department of the Marine still don't get it.
Weather forecast mostly cloudy and becoming windy today. Dry for a time apart from a few spots of light rain and drizzle. Persistent and heavy squally rain will move down from the northwest later this afternoon and evening, with a clearance pushing into the northwest later. Mild for much of the day with highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, turning colder later. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice says for this Thursday morning, February the 3rd. The death has occurred of Bridie Doherty, Mean Bonnet, Burton Port. Her remains will be reposing in McGlynn's funeral home today from 4 until 7 o'clock, with rosary at 6:30, followed by a private removal to her late residence. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Mary's Church, Kincashla, with interment afterwards in Belcrutch Cemetery. House private to family and friends only on the morning of the funeral. The death has occurred of James Doherty, Carricknamana, Killygordon. Remains reposing at his home this evening from 6 o'clock. Funeral leaving his home on Saturday morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church at Crossroads, Killygordon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via St Patrick's Church at Crossroads, Killygordon Facebook page. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to Cree House at Galway, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Luke Hassan, Culmore, Derry. House private and restricted to immediate family only, please. Family and friends are welcome to pay their respects at W.J. O'Brien and Sons Funeral Home this evening from 6 until 8 o'clock. Requiem Mass will be celebrated in Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Steelstown, Derry at 12 noon on Saturday, followed by interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if wished to the Maybrook Day Centre and Mary's Meals. The death has occurred of Bobby Fullerton, 18 Lisson Avenue, Buncrana. Remains are reposing at his mother Sarah Anna Fullerton's residence, Hillcrest, Ardraven, Buncrana. Removal from the funeral home is strictly for family only. Removal on Saturday morning at 9:15, going to St Mary's Oratory, Buncrana for Requiem Mass at 10 o'clock, followed by interment in St Mary's Cemetery, Cockhill. Bobby's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desire to White Oak Centre, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Mary T. McConaughey, Dobeg Fanid. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Teresa Bradley, Barnes Termin. Her remains are reposing at her home. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Columbus Church, Termin, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Patrick McGeady, Paddy Shan, Dunlew Kidor. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral will take place in the Sacred Heart Chapel, Dunlew, at 12 noon tomorrow, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock, with house private from after the Rosary until 11 a.m. Funeral Mass can be viewed on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director, Facebook page. The death has occurred of John Burns, 61 Cooney Road. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 9:20, going to the Sacred Heart Church Muff for Requiem Mass at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private for family from 9 p.m. until 1 p.m. And the death has taken place in the Shetland Islands of Maureen Robertson and Nate Gamble, formerly of Tulnaree, Carndonagh, County Donegal. Funeral will take place later in Unst, Shetland. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Mum, why do they call it Scottish cheese?
It's cottage cheese, honey, and I'm not sure.
Do dogs in other countries speak different languages?
Yeah, I think so.
When will we get there?
Well, we've got to fix the car first, but there's someone coming to help us.
Is it the man from Geneva?
Not Geneva. He's from Aviva. Oh, there's the van now.
For car insurance with breakdown rescue, it takes Aviva. Visit aviva.ie to save 15%.
Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Minimum premium of €310. 15% discount applies to new policies bought online. See aviva.ie for details. Car insurance is underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Aviva Direct Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon show on Highland Radio.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of the programme. Still no update on what might be flying through the skies of Letterkenny at 9:20 this morning. Caller thought they were drones. Turns out he doesn't believe they're drones now. Also, interesting footage appearing online of funny things flying through the skies of Belfast, completely unrelated. Apparently, maybe a plane flying over Ireland had to make an emergency landing at Belfast International Airport. Just seeing videos emerging of it, nothing catastrophic or anything, so don't be worrying, but just another strange occurrence in the sky. Hi Greg, is it true that the smart meters that ESB are installing in homes emit electromagnetic radiation causing cancer? Can you opt out if you don't want this installed in your house? Listen, there are people that have particular, for some reason, objections to smart meters. And they've been described as having all manner of things. They're just the same as anything else. I don't know anything about electromagnetic radiation. I would doubt it very, very much indeed. John from the Finn Valley Club, Flying Club here. Breaking news in aviation grapevine. They're just referencing that Belfast situation. Thanks, John. We're not sure what it is just yet, but thank you for that update. We'll see what emerges there. There's sheep loose on the road at the Dry Arch roundabout, Clanry. Approach with care. Okay, that's a hectic enough junction there without sheep being out and about. Couple of things. Facebook, a lot of the value of Facebook has been wiped off their shares today. They've suffered the first fall in daily active users for 18 years. Can you imagine? They're worried that younger people are moving away from the likes of Facebook onto TikTok and other platforms. Maybe people don't like the censorship as well. That could be a factor. But their share prices have taken a massive hit. Billions wiped off the value of that company. Also, advertisers moving away from Facebook, clearly seeing that it's not quite the golden ticket that maybe it's been made out to be. You still can't beat the traditional ways of advertising. If you want to call our advertising team, by the way, this is just by the way, 0749125,000 and actually reach the ears of people that will be buying your product. But also, too, this is an interesting one, and no harm to this. They've or are providing an update on Messenger. You know, lots of people use Facebook Messenger that will let you know when someone has screen captured your chat. People who use Snapchat would be well used to that. That happens with that platform, but also with Facebook. So I think that's a good thing. Then you know if people are screenshotting the conversation. There are other ways to capture it without. There's other ways to capture it though without notifying the other person on the other end, but still I think it's to be welcomed. Right, okay, coming up very shortly, we're going to be doing a conversation. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but we ran over. And it's Brian Mooney. He's a guidance counsellor. And we're going to be finding out what the situation is, what are the implications of this final decision that's been made as it relates to the Leaving Cert and Junior Certs, by the way. So maybe you are a younger person who's doing a Leaving Cert, or maybe an older person, but maybe you have people in the family. Have you any questions as it relates to the announcement that has been made, or what you should or should not be doing as it relates to preparing for your Leaving Cert and your life beyond? Brian Mooney, he's been at this for years. He knows everything about guidance counselling and what have you in education. He's going to be joining us very shortly to answer your questions, or my questions, but I'm saying if you've got any questions you would like me to put to Brian Mooney, get them into us now, because we'll be going to him after the bingo numbers and a quick break.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday the 3rd of February, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €8,400 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S4, it's game number 5. The jackpot number is 26. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 35, 32, 19, 37, 54, 9, 38, 2, 36, and finally 76. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till Noon Show with Bluebird Care, providing home care services for all ages in Donegal. Visit bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
Woohoo! It's back! The Holy in the Sun, September 26th to October 3rd. Contact Cassidy Travel Dublin or visit declanerney.com.
Fuse box gone haywire. Water pressure too weak. Boiler finally gone kaput. The good news is, there's a local hero for that. Boilers, plumbing, electrics, locks and drainage. Take the hassle out of home repairs with localheroes.ie. Our online service connects you with trusted tradespeople in your area, and all work comes with a 12-month guarantee, backed by Bord Gosh Energy. Get a quote in minutes at localheroes.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Donegal Hearing Clinic, now open at Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Buncrana, now offering state-of-the-art rechargeable hearing aids free with your PRSI. Also pain-free microsuction wax removal services. Call 07491 88470 or donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
At your local Centra, we have great offers, like Centra Fresh Irish chicken fillets, 680 gram, only €6. My Waddy 1 litre selected range, half price now €1.23 each. And until Sunday, Carlsberg 20 bottle box, only €21. Centra, live every day. Enjoy cold sensibly.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time is 16 minutes past 10. Now, Minister for Education Omar Foley said her department is not in a position to offer students the same Leaving Cert options as last year, where students could choose between being awarded accredited grades or sitting an exam. Instead, the Minister confirmed that the Leaving Cert will go ahead in June as an exam only. Ms Foley said students will get considerable choice with less content required to be studied. And Minister Foley said students would be offered even greater choice in their exams this year compared to 2019 and 2018, with papers that were radically different. OK, Brian Mooney, guidance counsellor and Irish Times education columnist, joins us now. I suppose now the dust is beginning to settle, Brian. Is it a case that this really was the best and only option really available?
When you think about it, obviously the students were facing a very unfair scenario, and they made huge representations, and the likes of Charlie McConlogue and Joe McHugh and other good government representatives were inundated with kind of representations, and they were heard. The problem was giving them the assessed grades, which the students of 2021 got, was impossible because it was based on standardizing every applicant's application, on the basis of whatever their junior cert result was as a base. 25% of this year's Leaving Cert didn't do transition year, and therefore there is no junior cert result. So there was no national standardization base. So what they basically asked themselves is, how can we give them what last year's students got without actually going through this assessed grade process? So what they decided to do was to make the papers as easy as it possible is to make them. When they are marked, they will then have a bell curve, and that bell curve will be moved up till it equates to exactly the bell curve for 2021, and every student's mark within that bell curve will be moved up accordingly until we get to that. So they've got exactly what they were looking for: equality with the highly inflated grades of 2021.
So what does that mean? This is something I haven't been able to figure out. So if I don't bother studying, right, and I go in, I do my leaving cert, and I scrape through, okay, I pass all subjects.
Yeah.
On an individual basis, my marks aren't elevated to match last year, are they?
They will be elevated, but they'll be well elevated whatever you got your result. So if we have to bring everybody up 3% to get to last year, your very basic pass, which of course, Greg, you would never get. You'd obviously get a very good result.
Didn't say it, but go on.
will be brought up 3%.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, there are a finite number of places on every course in whatever you're applying for, and the top 100 students within the grid will get those 100 places. If it was only this year's students who were applying, then we wouldn't have to do any of these adjustments. But only 60% of the applicants to the CAO are this year's students. There are at least 10,000 students from last year applying, which is why we have to do this. Maybe 2,500, 3,000 students from 2020, a couple of thousand maybe from 2019, etc. And you have adults, and you have students from Northern Ireland, and more importantly, in last year, we had nearly 6,000 students from Europe who would have traditionally gone to England, but because they're now international students in England, they're now coming here. So effectively, all of that pool of candidates are competing for the places. If there's 100 places on offer, it's the best 100 set of points get in. So if you only, get a modest leaving cert, you won't get the place, even if you're brought up.
Do you believe, and I want to get to the fifth years, because if I was a fifth year now, I'd be going, oh boy, here we go. But we'll get to that in a moment. Will this bell curve work in a way that students this year will not be disadvantaged against those that got the inflated grades last year and those that carried over from the year before? Because there is not an unlimited amount of spaces. Who loses out, if anyone?
Okay, let's see who loses out. Nobody from this year will lose out because they will get the maximum possible score possible. It will equate to those who got the results from last year. So the 10,000 from last year who would have had an advantage in relation to this year's students have now lost that advantage. The ones who are losing out may be the ones from 2020 who got a bump on the 2019, but not to the extent of last year. And the real losers are the ones from 2019 and previously. But if you're over 23 years of age and you're applying to the CAO, you are treated as an adult, and therefore your application is not based on your CAO points, but on your life experience up to 23 years of age. So it's that tiny cohort, probably between 23 and 19 or 20, who have points from 19 or 18, and basically the points are, only a fraction of what the students are now getting.
The problem we're not going to worry about this year and maybe next, but eventually presumably we'd have to worry about it, is this is a permanent inflation of grades then, is it?
It's just for 2022.
Yes, but we can't dump all this now on fifth years because...
That's the problem. This is the big problem with this solution. You have now given the class of 2022, who very effectively through their student representatives and by going and see their TDs, who got thousands of representations from around the country, they got what they wanted. But the fifth years are now stuck when they're going to have the full exam, no concession on papers as of now, and no inflation of grades. So effectively, if you have a cohort of students from 2022 and some from 21, etc., sitting waiting to apply next year, they are going to literally dominate the places in relation to the class of 23. So what they have now said is we're going to have to sit down and figure out, starting with the base we have for 2022, how do we take down this grade inflation? How many years are we going to do it over? Are we going to do it over 2 or 3 or 5 or 7? So that effectively we're not disadvantaging a huge group of students, on the basis that they are going to be disadvantaged by the previous year's applicants. But I would say one thing to you, Greg. At the end of the day, this is a really interesting conversation between you and me as two adults. But as I said previously to you, every single place in college will be fought over. And, it's a competitive process. So students need to realize The parliamentary parties meeting took place last night. This issue is off the political agenda. It's seen as being solved. You have your mocks coming up next week. It is time now to focus for you on preparing for those orals which take place over Easter, the written exams taking place in June. The mock papers may not correspond exactly to what you're getting in June because they won't have been adjusted, but the experience of the mock, particularly for the 25% of students who've never done a formal exam ever in their life because they didn't do the junior cert, they need to use this as an emotional experience, as an experience of how do you do timing around exams? What do you read the paper when you get in? Do you prepare your answers in rough work at the beginning so that your brain is kind of filtering stuff as you're going through? Do you use the last few minutes at the end of your exam to go back over your paper to get that extra few marks by spotting things you could add? If you do that in the mocks and then take that experience forward, prepare for the exams to the best of your ability, as I'm sure you would have done in your day, then effectively in the competition for places on specific courses, you'll do as best as you can possibly do.
Okay, so it's time to get down to business then. And I suppose that's a message for students, but us also as parents and guardians. We can say it's not fair, this, that and the other. But this is where we're at. What we need to do is get our head in the game now and say we've got, maybe preparation wasn't fantastic, but we've got a window of opportunity here now, and we have to chuck the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah, throw the kitchen sink, because every course has 60 places or 80 places, and at the end of the day, it'll be the 60 students with the highest points. So it doesn't matter if your points go up 10% in adjustment, you're never going to go up in relation to where you stand in relation to everybody else's results. So you need to compete for whatever it is you're looking for in September and get your head down now and prepare for it.
Yeah, okay. And what is your message to parents and guardians in how you support in that? I mean, is it a case of, saying, right, what
have this conversation?
The background noise, we have to ignore that now. We have to sort of get into the zone.
At the end of the day, what parents can say is the solution that the adults in the room, the politicians in the room came up with was to ensure that if you're doing the Leaving Cert this year, you will get the maximum points that have ever been given, which was 2021, based on a profile. But within your own group, within the group of this year's 6 years, also competing with students from last year who'll have the equivalent points, and some from previous years who will have less of an advantage than you have, it is a competition for whatever course or career you're aiming for. And you will only get that place if you give it whatever socks over the next 4 months and do your best. You can only do as well as you can, but ultimately it's about preparing for those orals next week, preparing for the mocks next week, the orals over Easter, the written exams in June, and forget about all this white noise and politics stuff. It's over.
Yeah, exactly. And you made a really good point as it relates to the parliamentary party meetings last night. It didn't come up as such, you know what I mean? That's not what was being leaked. And if it's not being leaked from that, it's off the news cycle for them. A caller's son wants to join the army after doing their Leaving Cert. And the question is, what should I do? Now, I'm not sure they're asking that question, what should I do to support them or what should I do to discourage them? But obviously, there are positions of it. Go ahead.
There are two entry routes. Obviously, there is the entry route at troop level, which is, based on you getting your Leaving Cert, etc., and you can apply through the Irish Defence Forces website. If you're talking about cadetship, there is a specific application process for cadetship. It used to be based on, you'd get your Leaving Cert, you'd get into the cadets, you would be actually put through the university, mostly in Galway, to do an undergraduate degree. But nowadays, the cadetships have become so competitive that a lot of people who have already got university degrees are applying. So effectively, you've got a pool of people, even with MAs, applying for cadetships, and they may be in their early 20s as opposed to school leavers. So that could be, but there's nothing stopping you getting in. It's just it's become more competitive. So basically, go on the Defence Forces website, the address which I don't have off the top of my head, but you find it.
I can get that, yeah.
Yeah, and effectively go in and look at the application processes, because obviously, the cadetships, then you will have the various arms of the Defence Forces, and they are recruiting actively all the time.
Can we talk about those now that are, not everyone wants to go to all of the college, but maybe they have to go to where they want to be. But they're looking at, we're in the middle of a housing boom, a building boom.
Yes.
With everything that's going on, there's going to be a huge demand for skilled workers in construction, be it, plumbers, electricians, whatever it might be. There's going to be an awful lot of work for the foreseeable future, I'd imagine. What's your advice to a parent, or if they're listening now, someone in 5th or 6th year and they want to pursue a career in that industry? What is the best path?
Okay, there is a huge expansion in the whole apprenticeship system, Greg, and it has started, gradually over the last number of years. The traditional apprenticeships, as you refer to in construction, have come back, and they're coming back very, very strongly. The key message is that ultimately you have to be taken on by somebody who has a recognized qualification as a plumber, carpenter, etc. An apprenticeship is over 7 phases, over 4 years, and effectively you have to be with somebody who legitimately has those qualifications. And obviously in Donegal, you're likely to have a lot of construction going on over the next number of years because of issues that you're only too familiar with. And obviously from that perspective, students need to approach somebody who is prepared to commit to them and they to that particular qualified tradesperson for that period. And they will be registered through SOLAS. But within SOLAS, you now have 62 apprenticeship programs, everything from farm chem to insurance and IT Sligo to basically in financial services, the whole area of apprenticeship where you are paid. And from this year's students, the employer is now getting $2,000 a year for each apprentice, which obviously enables them to give a payment to the apprentice in the non-core. They always got it in the construction and the motor industry, but in the newer apprenticeships, there was no guarantee they would actually be paid when they were in college. They were obviously paid when they were actually working. So effectively, for people who'd be looking at the financial cost of education, apprenticeship, whether it's in construction or whether it is in the newer apprenticeships, is a wonderful way forward. And obviously, we all know the kind of salaries and wages that people in the trades are now earning. So it's a very, very attractive prospect.
Not you, but do we, and not me,
yeah,
talk enough about those options for people? Do you know, like, what is it, 6 out of 10 end up going on to 3rd level? I mean, there's a massive cohort of people that not on this programme but elsewhere might be called unskilled or semi-skilled. We don't use those phrases here, but should we be talking more about that? Because there is a massive need and there's probably a massive hunger for information.
Yeah, Minister Harris actually this year has done something quite symbolic, that on the homepage of the CAO website, when you went in to apply, instead of seeing one particular box, you saw 3. One of them was your traditional CAO apprenticeship, which you clicked on and went on to the normal processes. You then had a further education box, which took you into a website called Fetch. Now, to be honest with you, I believe that should have been into Qualifax, because Qualifax has every single further education course. Fetch has a mix and gathering of all courses offered at further education, not necessarily level 5. But you also had a third box, which you clicked on apprenticeship, and it took you into the apprenticeship site on SOLAS. Now, how meaningful is that? It's there, it's on the website, but it's a symbolic statement saying that here you have 3 options. You can go directly to the CEO, you can spend a year or 2 years, mainly 1 year at further education, which, as we've discussed before, Greg, there are reserved places on many of the high point courses in the CAO for students who have that 1 year further education qualification. So if you're not going to get really high points in your leaving cert, you could use maybe a further education qualification to get in by the reserved places. And you now have the apprenticeship route. But basically that will just take you to the SOLAS website, which will give you details about all of the apprenticeships, including construction. But at the end of the day, apprenticeships are based on working with a tradesperson recognised by SOLAS and holding the full qualification. And you have to find somebody who's prepared to commit to you for 4 years and you to them. That's the difficult part.
A couple of quick questions just on that. A caller asks, why don't they bring back proper, in inverted commas, apprenticeships through a technical college for the building sector like LYIT or Sligo IT?
But the point is, when a student is taken on by a tradesperson, there are 7 phases in their training. Half of them are with the tradesperson on site. The other half are in the colleges.
So we're doing that.
We are doing it.
Yeah,
that's where they get their training. It's every second phase is in college, out of college.
Okay, right, so that's there. Okay, that's good. And finally, do we know what happens if a student is unable to sit their leaving cert due to having COVID or being a close contact? Now, in terms of close contact, I think that whole system will be changed before then, where I don't think close contacts will be a thing, and I don't think anyone I think not everyone's going to be being tested for COVID pretty soon, so I'm not sure where we'll be at time of leaving cert. So it's a wait and see, or is there an answer?
There is an answer. Minister Joe McHugh, when he was Minister for Education, did something quite compassionate. And he brought in a system whereby if somebody had a bereavement during the actual Leaving Cert process, they were allowed to step back for 3 days to enable them to mourn a direct family member, a parent, a sibling, possibly a grandparent. I can't remember exactly what the criteria were for the full amount of people. Obviously, for the last two, and those exams took place in and around Athlone, I think in the month of July, after the Leaving Cert finished at the end of June. For the last 2 years, that couldn't happen because of COVID. But now that is being reintroduced. So this year, if there is somebody who has COVID, cannot attend the exam, or has a bereavement, there will be a full resitting of the Leaving Cert with alternate papers, which will take place a month following, or whatever dates will be made available. Where it will be nationally, all of that will be worked out. But ultimately, somebody who misses an exam for a reason which is within the criteria will be fully accommodated.
Okay, another interview passed with full marks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Craig.
No need for accreditation. Thank you very much indeed. Brilliant as always, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks a million, Greg.
All right, take care. Brian Mooney, Guidance Cancer and Irish Times education columnist. Now, can you play a request for John and Bridie Farron, Lower Kildrum, Gortahawk, who will be celebrating their diamond wedding 60 years anniversary today? Can you play The Homes of Donegal by Bridie Gallagher? Love from your children, Catherine, Bernie, John, Maureen and Claire. Your grandchildren, Paul, Katie, Sean, Patrick, Joseph, Daniel, Una, Rory, Charlotte, Alina, Lorena and great-grandchild Koa. I believe it is Koa. Beautiful name. It looks beautiful. Koa. Okay. Right, now, I can't play that song for you, but hopefully you'll enjoy this one, because we've selected a special song for, a request came in from Connell McBurty. And he says, my aunt is in a nursing home in Donegal and will be 106 on Thursday. That's today. She lives in Arsguidor Nursing Home in Derry Beg. She was born in Dunlow but spent many years in Clydebank, Scotland. Could you please play a request for her this morning, which we're delighted to do. So, a very special song selected for you, our listener in Arsguidor Nursing Home, born and spent much time in Dunlow, and lived many a year in Scotland, and she wants to hear this song.
town of sweet Dunlow.
Okay, there he is, the man himself, Daniel O'Donnell. All right, we were trying to find out what was flying over Letterkenny earlier on. A caller says, I think it must be the Russians that were flying about Letterkenny this morning. Could it be? Could Vlad be planning an invasion, perhaps? Hi, Greg. If the person that was asking about the smart meters doesn't want one, they can opt out. Just contact the ESB and tell them you don't want it. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, indeed. I think there's a lot of people, and I understand it, and I was engaging with someone on Twitter this morning, just to try and find out a bit more information that really get deep into stuff, like picking two random dates and saying there's 666 days between them and it must be a sign, and that's how decisions are being made, and that's fine if people want to think that, but it the meters are just smart meters, like your smart plugs, your smart speakers and everything else. But if you want to opt out of them, I would, again, as I say, I would like to know my electricity usage all the time, and I hope one of those meters might be able to allow me to do that. Right, okay, more of your comments here. Greg, it's a pity Niall Blaney is not able to call a spade a spade. The DUP are hanging on by their fingertips to remain in power within the North. The DUP still believe that anyone who is not a unionist is a second-class citizen. It's time they realise they're living in the 21st century, not the dark ages, and it's time they were called out for it. Right, okay, that's one opinion. A caller says, apprenticeships taking longer now. My son started in October 2020. He should have been in college after the first 6 months, but still hasn't and doesn't know when he will. He thinks he'll never. He'll be near 6 years before he actually qualifies. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Right, now, just before we take a break, we got a note in here to say we are a young social innovators transition year group from Loreto Secondary School in Letterkenny. This was Paddy Diver referenced this yesterday, by the way. We're holding a MICA students dance demonstration inside our school premises solely for the students of Loreto, the MICA Action Group, TDs, media and yourself. We're hoping that we can unite the Donegal schools together by having them do something similar too. We're inviting you to the school at 3:30 to join us in solidarity and help raise awareness for students affected by MICA on Friday, the 4th of February. You're more than welcome to give a quick speech to the attendees. I'm not sure this was directed at me, but they're having in that school, they're having a protest at 1:30. They're asking others. Now, we would love to have spoken to them. We reached out. Unfortunately, they've been, as far as we can determine, prohibited from speaking to us about that, which I think it's a fantastic initiative, and these people directly affected by it. I understand, I suppose it's within the confines of the school, so the school has the say on that. But I'd love to have chatted to them, but unfortunately I don't believe they can. But maybe, I don't know, we'll see. So that's in that school, and maybe others as well. We'll get some clarity on that. 086 60 25,000. Shocking. The reputation of the UK on the protocol is important. Anyone who cares about the UK should feel the shame this morning. The DUP are definitely finished in Northern Ireland now, says a caller. Greg, I listened to Deirdre yesterday and I realised that I should have made a complaint about my father's treatment in there long ago. She gave me the courage to take pen to paper last night. I hope others do the same. Something has to change. Deirdre Grant told us a story over 25-30 minutes yesterday of her experience in hospital and what she witnessed. I'll tell you what I'm going to do later on. I'm going to cut that interview out and stick the video up on the socials and on our website as well for those of you who may have heard about it but didn't hear it. It's powerful stuff, and I've had these conversations with all the people in the past, but for obvious reasons they were reluctant to speak out. Deirdre did, and I think it started an important conversation, and a good conversation for the health service as well, that perhaps need to be had out in public.
The 9 till noon show, brought to you by Bluebird Care, providing nurse-led home care services in Donegal. Call Bluebird Care 91295562 and bring care home.
If I learned one thing in the last year, it's that falling into debt can happen to anyone. Luckily, I heard about the ISI, the Insolvency Service of Ireland. Their professional advisors can help you restructure or even write off your debt. The first thing they said to me was, every debt problem has a solution. I can still feel the relief. So if you're worried, visit their website backontrack.ie or free text Get Help to 50015.
The ISI. Together, we'll get you back on track. This is an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
There's never been a better time to switch to Electric Ireland. We're offering all new customers a €265 welcome bonus with our 2-year deal. All you have to do is call 1800 30 50 90 or visit electricireland.ie. For your welcome bonus, switch today. Electric Ireland. We're brighter together. Estimated annual bill €2,019. Electricity and gas discounted unit rate including standing charge, PSO levy and carbon tax. 24-month contract. T's and C's apply. See electricireland.ie.
For businesses, it's time to make up time. At Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, we're ready. With HP finance from 3.9% for those who see opportunity, purchase contributions of up to €3,500 for those who make it happen. And for those who give complete focus, service plans from $9.99 per month. Test drive the Caddy Cargo, Transporter and Crafter at your local Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie. For those who build tomorrow, the time is now. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply.
Call into Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny today to find out more, or visit connellys.ie.
At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show, and we welcome back into studio Nikki Bradley. How are you, Nikki?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good indeed. Right, now, the last time you spoke to us was before Christmas, and it was around the time that you were told, or was it advised? How does that work? Do they recommend an amputation, or do they say you have to have it?
So it actually was my decision this time. I went over to Birmingham a few times in the last few months, and a couple of options were presented to me. One was a full leg amputation, which is called a hind quarter amputation. The other one was 3D printing for another hip. And then the last option was a rotation plasty. I'd been told about a rotation plasty a number of years ago, and when I went home and Googled it and saw what it actually was, I instantly said no. But when we went home and talked through the options this time round, we realised in terms of infection, the rotation plasty was probably the least likely to get infected. Obviously, if I went for full amputation, then it's kind of problem solved, but that's obviously that's the end of the line. That's what we're trying to avoid. So the 3D printed hip is still metal going into the area, therefore the chance of infection, and because I've had an infection in that area before, were too high, and it just wasn't worth the risk. So suddenly the thing that was very much off the table went back onto the table, and I started looking past how the rotation plasty looked, didn't think of the cosmetic side of it, and thought of more down the line what it would mean for me. And we eventually came to the decision, so I let my surgeons know before Christmas, and then last month I got my date for the 7th of February, which is this coming Monday.
And that is, you've opted for the full amputation?
No, I've opted for the rotation.
The rotation, okay.
Yeah.
And what does that involve, or what does that mean to you?
It's quite hard to explain, so what I would recommend to your listeners is to Google it as I'm talking. So basically it's a form of amputation. So in my case, they'll be removing my hip joint, and they'll be removing my leg up until my knee. And then the lower leg from the knee up will be brought up and attached up at the hip. So essentially my knee joint will become my hip joint, and my ankle joint will act as my knee joint. And in order for that to be able to happen, they have to rotate the leg, because the joints will now have to work in a different way. And in 3 to 6 months, if everything goes well, I should be able to wear a prosthetic, which will be honestly life-changing. It'll bring my legs back to equal length. Obviously, this will be the prosthetic and my real leg. At the moment, I have 10 centimetres of a leg difference, and that day-to-day is very difficult, even just in terms of balance. So that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. However, there's 6 months before that can happen. So for basically from now until the end of the summer, I will have to get on with life as an amputee and get around with my crutches and, set the house up to make sure that it's safe and stuff like that. So that's what we've been doing in the lead up to the surgery.
Yeah, and there's no right time for it either. It's a case of just getting it done now.
Yeah, and that's why I was in the position to make the decision. So in any of my past surgeries, it's always been an emergency. You know, it started with cancer, then my hip got infected, this, that and the other. So I was never given a choice. This is the first time I've actually been given, first of all, options, and second of all, a choice. The way I think about it is I'm getting a little bit older. I won't reveal my age. But I'm starting to think down the line, and, you know, there's no right time to have surgery this big. The actual surgery on Monday will take the entire day. I'll be probably the only person on my surgeon's list. I'll then be in ICU for at least 3 days afterwards. So it's a huge thing just to get it done. And it's obviously terrifying. So big part of my brain was saying, put it off, put it off. But the other side of me was the pain was starting since the pandemic. My pain has gone through the roof. I'm back on pain medication. I'm not able to train the way I used to. My quality of life has gone down considerably. And that was what pushed me to the decision. I feel that I'm still young enough to bounce back. I still want to do my adventuring. You know, in 10 years' time, maybe I won't want to do that anymore. And then I'll come out the other side of surgery and not have that motivation and that drive to get as better as I will now.
Despite the regression during the pandemic, your age and your general fitness that you've built up is in your advantage to do it now.
Absolutely. And it's also part of it. Without realising it, I've been training for this for years, and now is the time when I'm in good health in every other way, and also that my head is in the right place, because that's a huge part of the recovery afterwards and the rehabilitation. So it just seemed like the right time.
But it's scary.
Oh, it's definitely scary, and not just for me. It's scary for my entire family. You know, it's all well and good, and anybody that's been the person that's having a treatment will resonate with this. When you're the person going through it, it's often easier because you're the one that's been in your own head at night thinking everything through. And when you come to the decision, you know, you have done that. That's been an action on your part. But when then I had to share all of that information with my family and see how it affected them and see how visibly upset they became as a result, that sense of guilt just floors you. Yeah. So it took a lot for us to, you know, I had to almost convince them that this is the right thing. Yeah. And thankfully they're all on board, and my now fiance is definitely on board.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
That was relatively recent.
That was, the weekend of my birthday, and also the day I got the date for surgery. So that one weekend, the weekend of the 23rd.
What a busy weekend.
It was a big one, a memorable one. So.
I think that's, if you Google the word roller coaster, that weekend might just might appear.
I think it might, yeah. But it was, you know what, it was perfectly timed, and it was, you know, instead of me thinking of the 21st of January as the date I got my surgery, I'll now think of it as the date we got engaged. And obviously it was a big date for the surgery, but it won't be the only thing that happened that day. And it was just amazing. And we went then and picked a ring together, and it's just been honestly so exciting since, and also a huge distraction for what's coming.
It's lovely that you picked the ring together. Is that a bit of a cop-out from him?
No, because he used to make. It was actually. I'm so glad we did this, because he can make jewelry, and he can do great things with glasswork. And I had these visions of him coming up with this like piece of some sort of weirdness that he'd made, thinking I would fall in love with it. So no, I'm delighted that we picked it together.
Okay, no, it sounds absolutely. And listen, the hope is all the happiness that you deserve. Can we, before we talk about the surgery, what we'll pick up that conversation? You started speaking publicly right from the beginning about this to raise awareness of your condition. So it'd be remiss of me not to ask you about that, because people might be coming to your story new for the first time. So, can you tell us about Ewing's?
Yeah, so Ewing sarcoma is a rare form of bone cancer that I was diagnosed with when I was 16. I feel like that sentence itself I've said so many times. But the actual cancer and the treatment was very, like, I was 16, it was absolutely donkeys ago now. But the treatment itself is what's led to me dealing with what I'm dealing with right now. So it was specifically the radiotherapy. 6 weeks of daily radiotherapy, 20 minutes a day, was the least invasive part of my entire treatment, caused the most damage.
So if this had affected another part of your body, we probably wouldn't be sitting having this conversation now?
Well, the fact that the thing about Ewing's is that it's a bone cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really lucky in that it was localized. However, the other thing about Ewing's is A, it's extremely rare, and B, that the survival rate for the first year and a half isn't great. So if you get out through that, you're in a much better position. So I'm one of a select few people that did get out the other side, and I thank my lucky stars that happened. You mentioned about speaking public. I didn't start that until 2013. So, you know, a huge period of time passed where I was sick, I got better, and my goals were more educational based. So I had this goal to get to 3rd level and to do some travelling. And every time I got a few steps forward, I was hit with a huge setback. The first being my hip collapsing and needing my first hip replacement. Then a few years later, I needed a second, which happened in Australia. I was over backpacking with friends at the time. So there's been huge ups and downs, and it wasn't until 2013 when I set up my campaign Fighting Fit for Ewings that I made the decision from there forward that I would share everything.
And I think too, because you know, you're so brave and put on a brave face and doing so much, it perhaps doesn't tell the full story of what you've been through. You've been through the mill since the age of 16, physically and emotionally. Like what we see is, and I know you share, but it doesn't tell the full story. You've had it tough.
I have, and what's coming will likely be the toughest thing I've faced so far, which is saying a lot considering what I have been through. But at the same time, I don't know exactly when, but I had a moment when I started, and that's why I'm so grateful that I did start speaking publicly, because it didn't just help others, it really helped me. I think it was like a sense of just acceptance, as cheesy as that sounds. I stopped getting scared when I was having surgery. I stopped overthinking it as much, and mainly because I've been very lucky. Yes, I've been unlucky that I'd had to go through all of this, but I'd also been incredibly lucky that I'd come out the other side each time. And every time I come out the other side, I just felt a bit more confident that I'll continue with that, you know, that things will continue to work out. Now I feel like I'm jinxing myself saying that, but it helped me be a bit braver. And like what I put on my social media is true, and my friends would agree with that I'm not putting stuff out and then sitting at home crying. When I need to cry, I talk about that too. You know, even the likes of, I was speaking to somebody yesterday about the importance of speaking to professionals when you need to, and that, you know, in Ireland, unfortunately, we still have that stigma attached to counselling, and especially talking about the fact that you're in counselling. I just got rid of that I can't even remember, I think it was about 19 or 20. I just broke down in tears one day, knew that I'd reached my limit for what I myself could deal with. And I spoke to a professional, and I think the first session, I literally just cried. I don't even know if I gave her my name. I just needed to physically get it out. And I left that day feeling completely different. And from then, I felt like I understood the value of it. So, and I speak publicly about that it's not all roses. It's
and that's why the story's real, though, because, you know, this is no criticism of anyone else, but, you know, it has to be realistic and achievable, which is what your story is. So in terms of, you know, this surgery that you're going through, can you, or do you allow yourself to say, and I know you kind of said this a little earlier on in the interview, you know, that this actually will be a huge step forward, you know, that this is, you know, something that needs to be done, and your life will be better for you afterwards?
Well, the thing is, there's no guarantees. So even though I've made this decision, and it's kind of a gamble, and it's been made very clear to me by my surgeon that there's no guarantees that this will work. In fact, I had to sign a consent form that if something goes wrong during surgery, that he has permission to take the whole leg. So what's scaring me the most going into this surgery is I won't know what way I'll be waking up. But at the same time, you know, if it happens, it happens. I'll just have to figure it out. I don't know, it's terrifying, but it's something that has to happen to make life in the future better. And I mean that even if they do have to take the whole leg, because pain day to day, like even sitting in this chair, if this interview went on for half an hour longer, my leg would be completely dead. When I went to go to stand up, I'd have to wait a couple of seconds. And it's those small things that you're dealing with every day affect your mental health. And when that started happening during the pandemic, that's what led me to this decision. Just do it now and see what happens afterwards. Okay, so the operation is all going well next? It's on Monday. So you travel over soon? Travelling on Saturday night, flight Sunday morning, and admitted Sunday afternoon. And then, so this time next week, it'll hopefully all be over. And you'll have your spell in this ICU that you're going after? Yeah, so I'll be in ICU for the first few days. So it's the Royal Orthopaedic Hospital in Birmingham I'll be in. So roughly about 2 to 3 weeks over there. And once I'm cleared to fly back home for rehabilitation then. So. Yeah, and as you said, you've been preparing for this. Yeah. Yeah, even in terms of what I'm packing, like a couple of friends have given me jigsaws, and I love doing watercolors. So you should see the size of the suitcase. They're gonna be like, where does this one think she's going?
You might look like an arts and crafts teacher or something.
Swear to God. But do you know what? Whatever it takes to keep me busy, because
Yeah.
that one of the biggest things that happened last week, one of the most disappointing things due to COVID, was I found out that I can't have any visitors the entire time I'm in there. I really hoped that because we're kind of so far forward and everybody's vaccinated, that I would be at least allowed one person in, because in any of the hospital visits I've had before, I've always had visitors, and it's the small things. It's my mum or dad or my partner bringing in a coffee.
Huge. I know you say it's small, but it's big.
Yeah. So,
just at that time where you need someone to lean on a wee bit.
So thank God for Zoom, because I'll be using it a lot, and all my crafts, and I'll just have my room filled with stuff. But it'll keep me going. And
yeah. Okay. Well, listen. Safe journey, and I hope everything goes according to plan. I mean, you trust these people. You've had to trust them in the past, and you're putting your trust in them again.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to say, if anybody does want to follow, Instagram will be where I'll be keeping up to date the most. My friend, you probably know her, Emma Boylan, will be doing my social media. So
no better woman for that.
That's Nikki Bradley Speaks is my Instagram, if anybody does want to follow on, because as I said, I am going to be completely transparent, not just for other people, but for myself. I want to be able to look back on this time and actually remember how I felt in the moment. I've never done that before. So it's, hopefully,
All right, and we'll share out the links as well too. Listen, as I say, the very best of everything. I wouldn't say the best of luck. It seems inappropriate, but
I'll need luck. I'll take it.
Yeah, okay. Well,
touching wood here,
luck
like
then.
there's no tomorrow.
All right. I'm not sure that's wood.
Oh no.
Listen, thanks very much, Nikki. We hope to speak to you again in the future and to get an update. And just remind people where they can follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, so it's Nikki NIKKI_Bradley_speaks.
Brilliant stuff. And the best of luck with everything. Chat to you soon. All right, it is 11 o'clock, which means it's time for a news update. And we say good morning at 2 minutes past 11 to Michaela Clark. Hi, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Paul Givan will resign as the First Minister of Northern Ireland later today, according to the BBC. It would trigger the departure of Michelle O'Neill as the Deputy First Minister. Meanwhile, the move to suspend checks on goods arriving into Northern Ireland ports from Britain could be another escalation of efforts by the DUP against the protocol. That's according to Donegal Senator Niall Blaney, who is a member of the Good Friday Agreement Committee and Fianna Fáil spokesperson on Northern Ireland. The suspension of checks came into effect overnight, following an order by the North's Agriculture Minister Edwin Poots, although it's not clear if those orders are being followed. The government is examining giving households a further energy credit later in the year and reducing taxes and charges. Both the Taoiseach and Taoiseach have suggested further measures are being considered to combat the rising cost of living. The Higher Education Minister has also announced an extra €1.3 million in funding to help third-level students deal with the cost of living. Simon Harris says it will be made available through the Student Assistance Fund. There's been a huge jump in the number of people waiting on a trolley at Letterkenny University Hospital today. 51 people are waiting on a bed at the hospital, according to the INMO's latest Trolley Watch report. It's the second most overcrowded hospital in the country today. Parents in Donegal are being encouraged to get their applications for school transport in early. Applications are open for the school year starting this coming September, with the deadline April the 29th. It applies to new applicants only that are seeking primary or post-primary school transport for 2022-23. And significant progress has been made on a €12 million project to upgrade the water treatment plant in Letchermacaward. Irish Water has confirmed that the construction contract for the work has been signed. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, Michaela, thank you very much. Back after the break.
Bluebird Care are hiring nurses and carers across Donegal. Call 9129562. Bluebird Care are sponsors of today's show.
Homeland Fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 20 kg Super Therm, buy 5 bags, get 1 bag of hardwood logs free. 10 kg wood pellets, buy 10, get 1 free. Board Namona briquettes, buy 3 for €16. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
Ireland is leaving diesel behind, and Kelly's Toyota is leading the way with our incredible range of self-charging hybrid electric cars. We've amazing offers, including contributions and trade-in boosters. And with 46 years of experience here in Donegal, you can trust us to help you on your electric journey. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. Visit Kelly's Toyota Mount Charles or Letterkenny today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
You were sitting on a busy train. An elderly woman got on, and even though you were tired, you gave her your seat, because it's in your nature. You know who you are, but we don't. Please get in touch and become an SVP volunteer today. Visit svp.ie. Thank you.
Farmers banned from burning bushes. For more in this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
The burning of agricultural waste, such as bushes and hedge cuttings, is now banned on farms. Growing concerns that a new department group could cap cow numbers. We reveal how Irish fertiliser prices are amongst the highest in the world and share tips for reducing costs. And farmers warn not to sell carbon credits outside of the sector.
Plus, we share tips for dealing with calving difficulties. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
With everything from pedal and electric ride-ons to go-karts and scooters, there's loads of fun guaranteed all year round at Tinny's Toys. If you've a kid's birthday coming up, Tinny's Toys can help make it special or get snow ready with a sleigh. Visit Tinny's Toys on Leck Road, Letterkenny, or shop online for express delivery at tinnystoys.com. Tinny's Toys, with so much more than just farm toys.
Ireland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Ronaldo, De Bruyne, Cavani. You can now see both Manchester teams in action with Ryanair's twice weekly service to Manchester. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Already into the last hour of the programme, hard to believe, but the weather anyway, a few bright spells this morning and early afternoon, mostly cloudy and dry apart from a few spots of light rain, though in the afternoon and evening a band of more persistent rain will cross this region. Right, now, Tig Daly is Chief Executive of Nursing Homes Ireland. He joins us now. Good morning to you, Tig. Thanks very much for taking the call.
You're welcome, Greg. Good morning to you.
Right, now we have in our hands revised visiting guidance for nursing homes, and I don't need to tell you the difficulty this is causing for people who live in nursing homes or those that want to have access to them. It's been awful over the last couple of years. What's going to change now?
Yeah, look, obviously, as you said, the backdrop to this is, COVID has had a disproportionate effect on our health service, but particularly in nursing homes. So what we're moving to, thankfully, under the revised guidance by the Health Protection Surveillance Centre is what we would term, I suppose, a move to a pre-COVID environment and more normalised visiting. So from Tuesday next, the 8th of February, the revised guidance is basically saying that would there be much more open access to nursing home care while we remain vigilant, obviously, because there are still a large number of outbreaks across the country. Heretofore, a person had to be vaccinated before they visited, but we're still encouraging people to use antigen testing before they visit. And clearly, if they haven't, or if they have symptoms rather of COVID, they shouldn't be visiting. The other, I suppose, significant change is that each resident would have what is termed a nominated support person, so that there would be one person identified as a family member who would have, I suppose, visiting on a regular basis and would undergo the same rules and regulations, if you like, as a staff person in terms of PCR testing, in terms of COVID precautions.
All right, so the minimum level of visiting should be daily visits by up to 2 people at one time. The introduction of a nominated support person for each residence who should normally have regular and unrestricted visiting access. And there will no longer be a need for visitors to show immunity through vaccination and previous infection. Right, okay, those are the guidelines. It can be very different depending on each nursing home. I mean, are managers of nursing homes obliged, unless there's very good reason, to allow this type of access as outlined in these guidelines?
Yeah, but I suppose ultimately the priority for everybody here, Greg, is to ensure the safety and welfare of both residents and staff. So in some cases where there are large outbreaks, for example, and working closely with public health, it may be necessary to have a variation of the national guidelines.
It may be, but you might get also one manager who happens to be more cautious than another. So, I mean, are they obliged to allow, unless there is very good reason, this level of access?
Yeah, I mean, what we're looking at here is a move to a more normalised visiting, ultimately, and communication is key here. Look, the vast majority of people who visit nursing homes understand the risk that's there. So on the one hand, it's about balancing the risk associated with infection and COVID generally, with also with the well-being of residents and families. So, this is a bumpy road. And we're still not out of COVID. And I suppose that's the tricky balance for us all in society. On the one hand, restrictions in society generally are lifted, but there are still restrictions, for example, in the acute hospitals and maternity services. What we're trying to do in the nursing home sector is move to a more open visiting procedure, but at the same time remain vigilant, because, look, nobody wants to introduce COVID into a nursing home. And we've got to be clear as well that sometimes it may be necessary to restrict numbers, not restrict visiting, but restrict numbers. So, if you have a large number of people coming at any one time, clearly you don't want large numbers congregating in the day rooms or indeed in a person's own room. So, look, what we'd ask people to do with us over the next couple of weeks is work with the nursing home, whether it's public, private or voluntary, as we, I suppose, navigate our way out of COVID, hopefully, and we'll be back to what we would term a more normalised pre-COVID environment.
And I think an important element of this is the public, in that, you mentioned COVID symptoms, that could be flu symptoms, cold symptoms, it doesn't necessarily have to be everything that's COVID. In other words, if there's any risk at all, defer the visit. If you can do antigen tests, ideally, yes, because that means if you only get one line, you're going in there with the least possible chance of either, infecting your loved one who may be particularly vulnerable, or those around them. A bit of sort of staying on board with some of the messaging voluntarily.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, everybody understands that given the threat that COVID poses, particularly to those that are vulnerable or immunosuppressed, for example, that the last thing we need now is to introduce COVID into a setting like that. I mean, there are still a large number of outbreaks across the country. I suppose the other side of it, though, is the good news is that, people aren't as sick as they were heretofore. And, clearly the vaccine is so effective. So, what I'm hearing from members across the country is that those that have COVID, either residents or staff in the main, are presenting with a lower level of illness. And, it could be something like a bad cold or a flu. So that's the positive on it. Mm-hmm. But, we can't lose sight either that, we need to, I suppose, as I say, move cautiously and vigilantly as we navigate our way out of this, because we don't know what's coming down the road. This time last year we were in a much different place. So thankfully we're in a much better place now. And we need to take every precaution in what are ultimately risky settings at the end of the day, and working with people, and communication is the key.
All right, listen, thank you very much indeed, Ty Daly there. So this is important information for you, by the way. This is the criteria for those that provide these services. So unless specifically advised by public health at an early stage of outbreak, the nominated support person should continue to have access to some part of each day. If a resident does not have a nominated support person, visiting should generally not be less than 2 visits per week by one person during an outbreak. Limitations on visiting should be justified by an up-to-date risk assessment and should be reassessed twice each week. So that's something that you could seek to have access to. I'm not saying there'll be any resistance to this, okay? I just know that the people I've spoken with publicly and privately, and this is why I'm giving this information. There should be no restrictions on movement of residents within the nursing home after going on outings or visits outside of the nursing home unless a significant exposure risks occur during the outing. There will no longer be a need for visitors to show immunity through vaccination or previous infection. No need. And in line with established guidance, there remains no infection prevention and control requirement to restrict window visits. All right, so there you have it. I think that's positive news. Keep us up to date in terms of if you have the access that has been outlined. When do they come into effect? Is it the 7th? Let me just double check when this new guidance comes into effect, because that's an important part of this. It's from the 8th of February. It's very possible it might be introduced softly before then, but from the 8th of February, those new rules apply.
The 9 till noon show with Bluebird Care, providing home care services for all ages in Donegal. Visit bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
If you're buying new tyres, contact Auto Fast Fit in Letterkenny. Get great grip and great brands at prices to suit every budget. Tow bars also supplied and fitted for cars and commercial vehicles. Auto Fast Fit, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. Call 912 1174.
Wild is a local family business fully stocked with waterproof jackets, walking pants, walking boots, Gore-Tex trainers and merino socks to keep you warm, dry and looking great in the Donegal outdoors. With friendly staff to assist you, get yourself out now at Wet n Wild and enjoy the Donegal outdoors. Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Does your home need a fresh coat for a fresh start? Foy & Company in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny stock all the leading paint brands and wallpapers, all available for nationwide delivery. Let the Foy & Company team help you create the perfect colour scheme for your home and lifestyle, guiding you through the process of selecting the right paint for your indoor or outdoor space. Book your free online or in-store colour consultation today at foys.ie. Foy & Company in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny.
There are silent conversations that happen on our roads every day between drivers and older pedestrians like me. When we catch each other's eye to say, "Do you see me?" or "I'm crossing." But when people don't look out for each other, those connections can be missed. And so can I.
Too many older pedestrians are being killed on our roads. When we look out for each other,
we keep each other safe.
Please look out for older pedestrians. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Mum, why do they call it Scottish cheese?
It's cottage cheese, honey, and I'm not sure.
Do dogs in other countries speak different languages?
Yeah, I think so.
When will we get there?
Well, we've got to fix the car first, but there's someone coming to help us.
Is it the man from Geneva?
Not Geneva. He's from Aviva. Oh, there's the van now.
For car insurance with breakdown rescue, it takes Aviva. Visit aviva.ie to save 15%.
Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Minimum premium of €310. 15% discount applies to new policies bought online. See aviva.ie for details. Car insurance is underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Aviva Direct Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, joined on the programme now by Adam Canning. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Greg, how you doing?
Nice to chat to you. Right, so tell us, what did you spot in the skies over Belfast this morning?
So I was driving up the M2 this morning, heading into work in Belfast, and I looked up and I just seen, well, I can only really describe it as like a bowl of flames falling from the sky, and like obviously like an orange trail behind it. And I know a lot of people have said it was vapor trails and that, but I'm pretty certain I know what vapor trails of an airplane look like, and this was completely different. As it says,
and did it appear that, I mean, was it clear that there was an airplane that was involved in this, or could it have been something like a meteorite or something?
Could have possibly been a meteorite or a comet or something. Obviously, the first thing was to think it was an airplane. Like it looked honestly, it looked like an airplane that was on fire coming out of the sky. That's what it looked like to me.
And in terms of its descent, it was descending. It was like, it was clear that...
It was definitely descending very, very quickly. I was going like a very steep downwards angle.
And did it fall beyond the skyline? Did you see it actually sort of, where it either disappeared behind something or landed?
Well, if you've seen the video that I posted this morning, you can see that it kind of fell in behind like dark clouds. Once I went behind the dark clouds, I couldn't really see anything else, but I did see it falling from above the clouds and then falling down in behind the clouds, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Have you been able to, I mean, obviously, instantly, if you post something on social media, people are going to say that you created it or whatever it might be. But have you seen, has anyone given you any information to suggest what it might actually have been?
Not to this point, to be honest. I got up to Belfast there and I started working about 8 o'clock and I'm only really getting a break now. Just as you strung me, so...
Yeah, actually, we've just got a note here on the wires that we have access to. It was a plane, an engine on fire, and had to make an emergency landing at Belfast International Airport. So it was an airplane. You were spot on. That's what you captured.
There you go.
All right. So hopefully it landed and everyone's safe.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway. Oh well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. That's interesting.
I definitely knew it wasn't like normal vapor trails or anything. Like I knew it wasn't.
Yeah, you can see from your video, it's almost like more disruptive. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
Vapor trails are quite fluid. This was was disruptive kind of a trail, like smoke.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam. Listen, thanks for sharing that. Have a good rest of the day. Appreciate it greatly. Okay.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. That's Adam Canning, who captured what now turns out to have been an emergency landing at an aeroplane. An engine caught fire, seemingly, and we had to be careful a little earlier on because we weren't sure what it was, but other people had contacted us saying that they were tracking it also on the likes of those flight radar websites. So we'll get an update for you as soon as we can. I'm not sure if its destination was Belfast or if it was diverted to Belfast or it was flying across these islands and happened to make a landing there. But as soon as we get an update as to the nature of the landing and what kind of plane it was and all that type of business, we'll bring that to you just as soon as we get it. But just as I was speaking to Adam there, confirmation on the wires that in fact it was a plane which had an engine on fire performing an emergency landing. We wish everyone, hope everyone is safe.
The 9 till noon show, brought to you by Bluebird Care, providing nurse-led home care services in Donegal. Call Bluebird Care 9129562 and bring care home.
If your child is aged 5 to 11, you can now register for their free COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 usually causes mild to moderate illness in this age group, but it can cause more severe illness. All vaccines used in Ireland are tested before they're approved by the European Medicines Agency. To find out more or to register, go to hsc.ie or call HSE Live on 1800 700 700 from the HSE.
I am making my Holy Communion this year. I went to Macaroni's and Ballybuffet. I got everything I needed. My dress, tiara, bag and shoes. I had an amazing time with so many beautiful dresses. And Mum was able to pay a deposit for the perfect communion dress. For your communion day, go to Macaroni's Ballybuffet.
In harsh winter weather, Watson Hire have all you need to stay safe and keep warm. There's great deals on coal, Calor gas, firewood and heating oil with free local delivery. Also electric, fan, halogen and oil-filled heaters. See in-store and the fuel store at watsonhire.ie. Great offers on winter clothing and boots. And for any hire items, there's still the weekend hire deal of 3 days for the price of one. All at Watson Hire, Kiltoy, Letterkenny, with free parking at the door.
The good times are back. The highly acclaimed Joe Dolan Show Remembering Joe is back in Letterkenny for one night only. And what a party it will be. St. Patrick's Night, Thursday, March 17th, eve of the bank holiday at the Clanry Hotel. The spectacular show starring brother Ben Dolan, nephews Adrian and Ray, niece Sandra, Karen Carroll, plus the original Joe Dolan Band will have you rocking and rolling in the aisles at the Clanry. Celebrate our national holiday in style. Tickets now available at the Clanry Hotel, 07491243369. Remember, there's no show like a Joe Show. Always a sellout. Book now.
Bus Éireann are recruiting professional bus drivers nationwide for seasonal work commencing April 2022. All you need is a full Category D licence, digital tacho and CPC. Route and fleet training will be provided. For further information and to apply online, go to busaireann.ie/jobs.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
Good morning to you at 24 minutes past 11. Welcoming into studio now, Mary O'Brien, Irish Language Officer with the Rosses. Good morning to you. Imagine why.
Imagine why the chain, Greg.
Okay, right. Now, we're talking about a new body seat that has been installed. It's in Burton Port, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Caithfear Carges, Columcille, we call it, or St. Columcille's body seat. The idea came to us as I'm the Irish Language Planning Officer in the Rosses, and we promote, encourage and support initiatives through Irish in the whole of the Rosses, from Letchermach Ward to Kerrytown, and that's my area which I cover. There are 26 language planning officers in the Gaeltacht of Ireland, and I'm just one of them. So we were to celebrate St. Columkill earlier this year, but due to COVID, that had to be put back as the Bordenport Centre was used as a vaccination centre. So I got permission from Udaris na Gaeltacht to have this event, to celebrate this event last Sunday.
Okay, and it's a simple initiative, isn't it?
Yes, it's a simple
sometimes
initiative.
The best ideas are the most simple.
Yes, but it did take us some time. So we started planning this back in 2021 with the support of people like David Alcorn, people in the community. We tried to involve the schools, the local primary schools as well, and the whole of the community. So we started our, get-togethers and our brainstormings and our meetings way back in 2021. So Father Pat very kindly offered us part of his garden to erect the body seat in memory of St. Columkill, so that it would be a place where people could come and sit together and rest a while, chat for a while. And we're delighted that this is now going to become an even bigger idea, in that we're going to have a sensory garden in Father Pat's garden.
And there's something to, and we'll talk more about that, the plans in the future, but I suppose in a way, with it being deferred, there's something, even more fitting in that maybe it's a place for people to reconnect. You know, if some of those connections were, you've heard now, listen, people, the Neffet, if you've been following them religiously, they're saying now, go out and live your lives. That's what they're saying to you. So even the most cautious of people who've been following that advice, they're saying, go out, obviously be cautious, but go out and live your lives. Visit your family, meet your friends, go to the dancing, go to the bingo, go and sit in the buddy seat and have a chat.
Yes, I agree with you. And I was listening to the radio this morning when I was driving in, and you were talking widely about the Leaving Cert. And as a parent myself, I really feel for our young people who have not been able to get together. So from the young to the not so young, please God, people will be able to get together, come together. The centre in Bordenport has been a place where people have come together, played football, done various classes, and last Sunday was the first time that we were able to get together as a community and have that cup on tea, and as Father Pat says, be able to keep in contact, get in contact with people again. And we really missed that, and we're a nation of social beings.
We're genetically disposed to doing so. So talk to me then now about this becoming an even bigger idea with this sensory garden.
Well, our local councillor, Noel McGarry, who works tirelessly, quietly in our area, and she is actually a member of our committee for the Plan Altanga. She is going to continue this project, and we hope that we will have a hexagon-shaped garden, sensory garden, where people can get together. As you'll see from the pictures this morning in the Donegal News, and thanks to Owen McGarvey and to Beaters for taking the pictures, you'll also see that we have 3 stones of hope: Dohas, Solas and Bisha. So that was all around being positive, wellness, sort of being at peace with yourself and being able to get together. So Father Pat, as I said, has given us his garden. We'll erect a hedge. Dolty Boyle has been down, making the area safe, and it's hoped that it will be a place where people can get together and meet and be together and be at peace, because it's so true, and particularly since COVID, is far an tlenche, not an tlenche. Our health is our wealth. And I was listening to Nicky Clark this morning as well, and she was talking about her health, and
Nicky Bradley,
sorry.
No problem.
That it's something we've definitely learned through COVID, may we never see it again, is that our health is the most important part of our wellness. And it's only one of the projects that the Plan Altang and the Rossin has done throughout COVID, and we've done many, many wonderful projects. One was our Gael Cara programme, where we have a mentor and a learner who learn Irish together through COVID. And Daniel O'Donnell did a fantastic video for us in the Gaeltacht, the hole out in Cronashallock that's now become our motorway, where the people were able to online do a video which won them €1,000 through the Gael Cara programme. Other initiatives that we have in the schools is promoting the Cúpla Focal through Macklin the Misa, Student of the Month. So we have many projects running. It's a 7-year plan.
It is, and it's an important plan and one we've talked of. And you have an important role as an Irish language officer. What kind of strides are we making in terms of, in the past, a lot of the conversation might have been that people may have been reluctant to use Irish if they weren't very good at it, for fear of someone saying or them feeling that they had put a foot out of place. Like, I'm not saying that is a barrier, but are we overcoming things like that there, where people feel more comfortable at having a go?
Definitely. Molanoige agus Chuckishiad. Our youth in the Rosses, just one of the areas, like we've set up a Club Oige, right, for young people. And I was amazed. They started out in September with Cúpla Focal, and they did part of their exam before Christmas. I was amazed at the progress they were doing. And then that is then going into our homes, and the children are speaking the language in our homes, and they're singing songs, and they're doing their dances, and they're in conversation with each other. Yeah. And again, I'll say, as a parent of many Leaving Cert students, having helped children through the Leaving Cert, I speak regularly to my sons, one in Boston, one in Vancouver, and they say, that ownership of Irish is something that we are now taking on as a nation.
And also, too, there was a silly thing. It wasn't silly, but there's a massive appetite for it and pride in the language, right? But I don't think really we didn't, like, something as silly as did you see the video recently of a couple of guys arguing in Irish? Okay, like, it went completely viral. The only reason it did is because they were having this exchange. Ascailga. That's the only reason. But people loved it because it's like, that's us. That's what. Do you know what I mean? And if we can sort of capture that pride and why people want to platform that, half the battle's won, I think.
Absolutely, and I also think that if we can marry the old and the new. So, for example, that our children, that stories are being handed down from, grandparents to our children, and vice versa, of what they remember of our Irish, and our young people are then bringing their stories of what they're now doing in Irish. I think we will have successful Irish programme. I think that it will become very natural. It is recognised as an international language, and we should take pride. We should not fear speaking the Cúpla Focal, and enjoy it for what it is. And our Leaving Cert are now going to be sitting the Leaving Cert that they hadn't done since 2019, and that they should try their best in all subjects, but in the Irish language, so that it becomes part and parcel of our heritage, our duchas, and do their best.
And everyone's best is different.
Everybody's best is different. And I could thank many people for the success of the project.
Where's the seat?
It's
in Burton Port.
It's down
I'm trying
in
to figure
Burton
out
Port.
whereabouts.
Okay, so I'm sure you're familiar with the centre in Burton Port. Okay, so the seat is actually looking at the centre.
Lovely.
Okay, so it's in Father Pat's garden. We will erect a hedge, and we have plans, as I said, through the County Council and through Noreen McGarvey, to develop this as a place. And we now hope that the Caithfear Carges plan, that we will have a Caithfear Carges in every Ballyfarin, so in every small area from Letchamack Ward to Mullaghdu and to Carrickfinn and to Kerrytown and Bradge, and I hope I'm not leaving anywhere out. And of course Dunlow, because Dunlow is also being recognised as a Bala Service Gaeltarte, which is a town services development. And I hope that in the next couple of weeks there will be another language planning officer and that we will all make strives to promote the cúpla focal.
Your first language is Irish.
It is, yes.
So do you think in your head in Irish?
I do. And I didn't have Irish from home, Greg. Okay, I went to Sculniv Dewey in Annagre, and may God rest, Charlie Boyle was my principal, and as a very small girl, he had me down the back of the classroom with a book on my head and my reciting Shluchtas and Letter Ní Paul, De Réir Ní Bhón. And it was through the love of the language and everything we did, sport, etc.
So do you find, as you speak, and many people with two languages, whatever they are, will already know this, but for those that don't, certainly in terms of how you might want to express certain things or certain words, that you have to translate from Irish into English as you go?
Yes. But for people who don't, there are apps like Duolingo.
No, I know that. I'm just finding it really quite interesting. That's all.
Yeah, but then I've always thought in Irish.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you dream in Irish?
I don't know. I better ask somebody else that question. Better ask somebody else. But our dream and our vision, and it is a 7-year plan. Okay, that I'm involved with. Our dream and our vision is that we will increase, and it may seem small, the spoken word by 2%.
Well, dare I say, if you could stall the decline, I think that would be an achievement at this point. But you're going beyond that, so I feel the 2% is actually quite significant.
Absolutely, really significant. And a friend of mine, Brí Carr from Brí Carr Music, she actually finished off the day in the centre with a song that she herself had written called Nín an Iskara. Okay, the daughter of the fisherman, and it was particularly fitting with the regeneration programme for Bortonport. We'll have the regeneration programme for Dunloe as well. And we hope that in 2022, when you come to the Rosses for the Mary from Dunloe, which we haven't had again for 2 years, that, I'm
not sure I'll get an invite for 2022.
Well, we're going to give you an invite.
Well, I'm on about to, yeah, exactly. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed... I can't remember what year it was.
Well,
earlier this century.
2019 was the last. Although we were very lucky this year that we actually ran the Mary from Dunloe virtually.
No, it was fantastic, and I think it was brilliant. And I think like lots of things, there might be a hybrid approach going forward. Because there's more access, but it will be great to see it back.
Yes,
the streets thronged.
The crack. The crack was great. Yeah, and Alana McGlynn represented Planolchang and the Rossin during the virtual Mary from Dunloe, and I still remember the heading in the paper when she won, which said Lor Alana Gaelic Ri na Shartine. She spoke Irish throughout the week and welcomed everybody to the Rosses virtually. Okay,
because we should also remember, and a big part of our economy is tourism. And that is what, if I go to another country, right, and I want to absorb the culture and feel like I'm in the heart of Spain or Portugal or Italy or wherever it might be, that's people come here. That's what they want. They want the history. They want to go, even if they're only here for a weekend break, they want to be able to go and tell a story about the area. Okay, it's not all about the flashing lights and the booze and the restaurants. They want to feel a connection with the area, and then it lasts. But they also want to feel the culture and what represents our culture as much as our language, because we have the music and everything, and that's what they want. In fact, tourists get on to us and say, why are the signs in English? We're not going to get into that one at the moment, but they want to translate or use Google Maps and see what Ireland is, and we don't want to lose sight of that, and I think we'd like the initiative that's running at the moment, we're helping to stem that.
Yes, I agree with you, and that's what I could speak to you for weeks about this, and I hope I'll be invited back again. But that was one of the reasons.
If you brought a gift, if you bring gifts, you're guaranteed to come back in again. I am easily bought.
Perfect. Well, that again, one of the reasons for the body seat, and written on the body seat is Beil ga la gomai agat onla sha ama. Okay, and Sean Boner, our local solicitor, who talked about St. Columkill on the day, helped me put that piece together. So we hope that throughout the Rosses that we will have body seats like this, Cahill carriages like this, with the cúpla focal on them. and that will encourage people will see the language, then they will speak the language, and it will become very popular to continue.
And they'll take a picture of the language.
And they'll take a picture of the language.
Of the
yes,
sign
of the sign representing
okay.
it, exactly.
Right, Columkill Treasure Hunt, are you involved in that?
I am indeed, yes.
Yes,
please. So that again, that Noreen McGarvey and Eugene McGarvey put the treasure hunt together, and that treasure hunt is running until this Sunday coming. The treasure hunt can be found in the Maple Shop in Burton Port. The prizes are wonderful. The prizes are for local cafe vouchers, so which means then that you go into the local cafe with your voucher and you speak to Cúpla Focal. So it's all entwined, or they're all. We try to promote our local shops, our local industries. For example, on my top today was sponsored by BC Embroidery, and it's Crean the Rossin, which is another competition we're running to speak to Cúpla Focal, where you can write something about Cushlan the Rossin, which is the heartbeat of the Rossins, or Crean the Rossin, something that is near and dear to you. So again, the treasure hunt is running until the 6th. The Crean the Rossin competition, I've had some wonderful writings from the primary schools about what they enjoy about the Rosses. So let's speak the Cúpla Focal. Let's be proud of it. I saw a lovely sign coming into Letterkenny today, and it says, Isiar Changa, Fénulacht na Gaeilge. So Fénulacht means that we take ownership of our language, and that we're proud of our language, and that we don't fear speaking the Cúpla Focal, because cheer gan anam, cheer gan changa.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you again. And keep up the great work, and I look forward to seeing the buddy seat, the friend seat, in the not too distant future. Thanks, Mary. Back after these.
Bluebird Care are hiring nurses and carers across Donegal. Call 9129562. Bluebird Care are sponsors of today's show.
Ireland's biggest ever tribute weekend is coming back to Donegal. Trubash 2022 is taking place at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, on the 11th and 12th of February. The nation's leading tribute acts take to the stage with a fantastic award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show, Cash Returns. The amazing Jim the King Brown as Elvis, the one and only ABBA tribute, the Bjorn Identity, and the show-stopping Queen tribute. Limited tickets available now at the hotel reception and online at eventbrite.ie. Trubash 2022 at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. Your ideal Valentine's weekend.
There are many reasons people switch to Clear Mobile.
Serious deal. Simple as.
Customer service is A1.
Great coverage.
There you go. Unlimited calls, texts and data with 99% 4G population coverage for $14.99 a month. You clear? They are. Clear Mobile. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Switch today at clearmobile.ie. 30-day contract. Activation fee and fair use applies. Max data speed 5 megabits per second. See clearmobile.ie for terms.
For a huge selection of furniture, all at one showroom, pull into Grow Furnishings in Letterkenny. Sofas, beds, wardrobes, tables and chairs. Also a range of carpet, vinyl, rugs and laminated flooring. If it's time for a change, it's time for a visit to Grow Furnishings. Grove deliver throughout Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. Be inspired at Grow Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
Lidl have something to tell you, but it's a bit embarrassing because we don't like blowing our own trumpet. We were the most awarded retailer in the Republic of Ireland at the Great Taste Awards in 2021. In other words, we're number one, like the absolute finest for great tasting food in your part of Ireland, according to the very knowledgeable judges of the Great Taste Awards. We won for loads of things, especially in our deluxe range. I mean, the judges were wild about our deluxe range. But, as I said, we don't really like talking about it. It's not about us. We're Lidl. More for you.
For your Valentine this year, there's a great selection of ideas at Kelly Centra, Letterkenny. Everything from chocolates and hampers to Valentine's gift sets, and a great selection of wine in the off-licence. Treat your Valentine this year at Kelly Centra, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Drink alcohol responsibly. See drinkaware.ie.
Every year in the GAA, something unique happens. First-class rivals suddenly become first-class teammates. Fierce inter-county foes turn into friends, and yesterday's opponents now have each other's backs. Grudges set aside, all of the best club and county players from every corner of this country line out in their college or university jerseys to play together, challenge together and win together. It can only be the Electric Ireland Sigerson, Fitzgibbon and Higher Education Championships.
For confirmation and First Communion, see the great selection of suits, casual wear and footwear at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Top brands, including 1880 Club, Lyle & Scott, Farah and Diesel. Also Tommy Bow footwear, and all at great prices. Whatever the fit, whatever the style, confirmation and First Communions are covered. For less, at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and at watsonmenswear.com. Also, great end of sale bargains still available.
Farmers banned from burning bushes. For more in this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
The burning of agricultural waste, such as bushes and hedge cuttings, is now banned on farms. Growing concerns that a new department group could cap cow numbers. We reveal how Irish fertiliser prices are amongst the highest in the world and share tips for reducing costs. And farmers warn not to sell carbon credits outside of the sector.
Plus, we share tips for dealing with calving difficulties. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so heading into this afternoon, rain will be more persistent and heavy. Clearance, though, will nudge into the northwest before the end of the day, becoming windy with southwest winds increasing fresh to strong and gusty. I would hope on this programme that we interview more young people and have more young people on the show and contributing to it than most others do. I hope we do, because that's what we try and do. But listen, it's easy when you've got guests like the likes of Alice Keane to join us. Hi, Alice.
Hi, how are you?
I am grand. How are you getting on?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent stuff. Now, you are part of the Young Social Innovators Transition Year Group, and fair play to the management of Loreto Secondary School in Letterkenny. They are facilitating you guys holding a demonstration tomorrow. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's right. So we're part of No Place Like Home YSI. We're a YSI group from Loreto Letterkenny, as you said. We're doing a student dance demonstration tomorrow for students. We're really just trying to raise awareness for the MICA campaign that's happening. Obviously, there's very devastating effects around Donegal, and we just really want to support the families and students around us that are affected. We really just want to highlight the plight that MICA's caused to families and a lot of staff in our school as well.
Brilliant stuff, and it's for students and staff at the school only, and I can understand that, because you don't want the likes of me landing down there shoving my big head into it, but it's still incredibly important. Jennifer's with you, isn't she?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Hey, Jennifer, because you know the reason why it's good that you are doing this is because we've been talking about school and disruption at school and exams and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's really, really tough to deal with. But on top of all of that, there's many young people in Donegal have also been dealing with the stress of living in a house with MICA, which makes everything worse.
That's right. That is one of the main reasons we are doing this project, just to support the students in our school and spread positivity. We've been posting regularly on our social media. It's No Place Like Home YSI on Instagram and Facebook to encourage students to keep going and really just make sure that they feel like they're supported in our school community.
And I mean, you've got great brains, and I don't mean that in a way patronising, because we were speaking to students from the AVS, and they that one of their projects is as it relates to the environment, and they are using the social media handle of Commotion in the Ocean, which is very catchy, and it also gets the point across. The same with No Place Like Home. It hits the nail on the head, Jennifer. It you know, and people, No Place Like Home, but there are people facing losing their homes or having to move out of their bedroom and the rest of the house.
That's right. It's just devastating, really. Alice has written a song, actually, about the devastation it's caused. If she wants to speak about that.
Yeah, go on, stick her back on. I don't need a producer when I've got you, Jennifer, keeping me right. Fair play to you.
Yeah, so hopefully for the demonstration tomorrow, we're going to have lots of TDs and people speaking, but I've also written a song of the same title, No Place Like Home. I'm really hoping that it just talks about how we're all united. No matter if you're not affected by mica, you still have people who you can support with that. And I hope the song really just inspires people. I hope it's uplifting and that we can all stand together even in these unprecedented times of COVID still. We can just stand together virtually, hopefully, and make a change.
Yeah, and I hope to get a copy of it so I can play it out, Alice, at some point. You're going to sort that out. I think Caroline was talking to you about that.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully you can get it on next week, and it'll be all over our social media as well. Again, No Place Like Home YSI on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, and how is this for the two of you, this project been? Because, at the same time, it's a heavy subject to be involved in, and you're doing fantastic work in trying to get the message out there to show solidarity for those who are affected by this. It's a big undertaking for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. We actually have had a lot of support from the Mica Action Group and from local TDs, and we're really grateful for our school management as well and our TY team. They've been absolutely incredible. They've supported us the full way. We really could not have done the project we're doing without them.
All right, listen.
We know that so many people in our school, students and staff alike, are so hardly affected, and we really are so grateful for all the support that we've gotten from the whole school, and we're hopefully going to have a great turnout tomorrow, even online. We've had such a great intake of support for the project, so we really appreciate it.
Well done, all of you involved. How many of you are in the school involved in this Young Social Innovators group?
So it's a TY class. There's 25 of us who are involved in the project, and yeah.
All right, brilliant stuff. Hopefully it's grow quickly, get into power and get this sorted as soon as possible. Alice and Jennifer, well done to you again. Fantastic stuff. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care. Nice to speak to you. And Alice, get that song into us. And well done again to the management and staff at Loreto School for encouraging and supporting children and giving them the voice to be able to speak so passionately about it. It's amazing, isn't it? They are fantastic. And I'm not just saying that, they genuinely are. I'm blown away by the young people and the sense and the points that they make. They're fantastic. So quite a transition to an old hat at this stage. Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle. Good morning to you, Deputy.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
The future's bright. Talking to young people here now coming through, and I'm only joking. You're a young man still, of course. Deputy Pringle, we were talking earlier on. About the salaries. Robert Watt's salary, the Department of Health Secretary General. He's getting another pay rise, over €300 he's going to be earning in October. Paul Reid, head of the HSE, was said earlier on, many people, everyone listening to this show are paying his wages. And do you think we can get an interview with him to talk about the Brandon report or to talk about other serious issues in Donegal? Not a chance. I don't know what he's doing with the money, but it's certainly not making himself available to radio stations like ours. In this day and age, in any day and age, are these salaries in any way justifiable?
No, I don't believe they are, Greg. And, maybe they could be justifiable if these people were accountable. And the problem is that they're not. As far as I know, there's actually no way that Robert Watt could be sacked at all and sit. And that's the problem. So we're paying Robert Watt over €300,000 a year, and whoever it is, the head of the Department of Health, and there is no accountability at all. And that's the shocking part of it. I mean,
do we know what they do? Because again, I don't want to come across as this as being populist, but I would find very few people could disagree. Like in any private company, if you don't perform, you're penalised. Okay, if the operation that you're overseeing is not working, you're penalised or replaced. There's key performance indicators, all of that kind of stuff, right? There's a lot good in the health service, but a lot of that is down to the least paid in that system. Like, what are these people actually getting paid to do? What does Paul Reid or Mr. Watt do on a day-to-day basis to justify this salary, other than taking heat from the government?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I think they should be embarrassed presiding over a health services that allows the likes of the Brandon report to go unpublished, but also allows that to happen under their watch, allows what we have seen in relation to CAMS in Kerry, and this is because there is no accountability, and that is the problem. Like, because you can have a CAMS situation in Kerry in every county in Ireland, and Robert Watt will still be getting his money and still be there presiding over it, and Paul Reid will still be there coming out and giving half apologies in public, and that's the height of it, and then saying that they can't publish a report in relation to anything that's going on in that, and that's wrong. We pay their salaries.
And not to mention that if the S hits the fan, it takes so long to actually find someone accountable that people in certain positions, I'm not talking about Mr. Watt or Mr. Reid, go on to work somewhere else and then are no longer able to be sanctioned.
Yeah, that's right, or will retire and go out on a full pension or whatever, and that's what happens. And that shouldn't be the case. They should be held accountable. They should, if they're making decisions and they're making these decisions, they should be able to stand over them.
Now, people could say, oh, well, that's all right, Thomas Pringle, he's had so many pay rises, okay? I'm not saying they're justified, but the difference is here is that in a couple of years, people can make a decision whether or not to put you back in your job, right? So I'm not going to get into the TD salary side of things, but my point is that there isn't a level of accountability. It might not be enough for some, but in other words, you go before the people at the most every 5 years.
Yeah.
The people we're talking about here, there is not that level of accountability. So, I'm not putting anyone off texting, but they're not the same situation.
No, I mean, and even if you like to use the TDs as a comparison, like, you're right. Like, in the last 10, I've been a TD for 10 years. Twice I have put myself up for my accountability has been called into question, and rightly so, and I've been re-elected. Now, you can take that as being the fact that people are happy with what I've done, and I continue on to do that, and at the next election they will have the option again of getting rid of me. But we have no option anywhere of actually removing any of the Paul Reid or Robert Watt or any senior civil servant at any stage, and no matter what happens. And that's the problem. I think the salary itself is way over the top and shouldn't even be considered. But even at that, there is no accountability, and that's what people deserve, and people need to see that.
And, there's been many a nurse or a doctor or a carer that's driven between jobs or driven home from work absolutely exhausted. Maybe they shouldn't have, but they had no choice. They did not get a BMW and a driver from the army to assist them in that regard. A poxy €5 increase in the pension, which has been gobbled up numerous times by inflation and other rises, which we do have some control over. This is insulting to people. It's actually hurtful. It's almost gaslighting, and I don't want to misuse that word because it can be a very powerful word and is, but that's how it must feel. Well, I know how it feels because I'm a member of the public.
Yeah, and the idea that we're so-called all in this together, we're actually not. I mean, we're all in this, and we're way more above you than you, and you can be on your own, and that's the reality of the situation. And that's we can't continue to accept this, and we have to bring in some level of accountability. It has to be brought in there. And that's not to say that we're going to be looking to try and sack people left, right and centre all the time or anything like that there, but there has to be some perception that if they aren't doing their job properly, if they're not satisfied with their job, that they actually will be removed and can be removed.
Deputy Thomas Pringle, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate your time.
No bother.
Have a good day. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock with our Friday panel, Michael and Fanula, and loads more besides. But it is time to go. Have a great day. Jean's on the way around the northwest after the news at 12.